2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Perloff was hanging out with Seth Rogen's mom in Europe.
And I
didn't even know it.
I didn't even know it.
Wait, what should we email Seth Rogen's mom? Can we do this all as a show? Can we have her?
Is that your Seth Rogen impersonation?
You sound like Beavis and Butthead. So we have to figure out what do we want to write to Seth Rogen.
Let's ask Seth to come on the show and talk to the Weedem.
He would be like their Pied Piper.
She's going to get him to do a cameo. That's what's going to end up happening.
Where we're going to pay. What a deal. Way to know people in high places.
She gets a 25% off discount.
I know what the cameo would say. Be, hey, I heard you were on a cruise with my mom. Cool.
And that costs $600.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Are the Cowboys too good to be true? No, they're not. Believe it. Welcome to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So glad to have you on CBS Sports Radio. A thorough butt whooping of the New York Giants last night, Perloff, in the rain, but this is real. This defense is so good. They covered up for some of the, rust on the offense. I'm not worried about the offense. And I feel better about my Cowboys Super Bowl pick now than I ever have.
Enjoy it, because last night was a total aberration in every possible way.
No.
If I told you, we could have started the show instead of that angle. Hey, guess what happened in week one? Dak Prescott was 13 for 24, 143 yards, and the Cowboys ran for 4.1 yards per carry in the post-Ezekiel Elliott thing. You'd be, oh, my God, the sky is falling. We are terrible.
No, I would say, did Dak Prescott turn the ball over in bad weather?
Did Dak Prescott,
no, he didn't.
Did Dak Prescott throw to Giants DBs about 6 times and it was too wet to catch the ball? First of all, Dak didn't have to do anything. He should have just gone home in the second quarter. He still threw it to the other team multiple times. I have no idea what he was doing.
Okay, but here's the thing. It's not even really about Dak Prescott, because this was about a Cowboys defense that was thoroughly suffocating to the Giants. And the Giants are a team that was a playoff team a year ago and a team that many people had high hopes for going into this season, and they had no answer. And here's the thing. Both teams had to play in the rain.
Yeah.
Both teams had to find a way to play mistake-free football. One team did. That's the Cowboys. They deserve all the accolades they're getting today.
All right, first of all, because Pollard had a fumble at the 10-yard line, which would normally be a cardinal sin, in football, but the Cowboys recovered it, where every time the Giants fumble the ball, they lost it. So I think that there's a huge element
Do
of
you
luck.
think this is all luck last night?
I think 100% of that storyline. Of course, Micah Parsons was killing the Giants because they had to throw the ball in the rain because they were down 16-0 because one guy fumbled the ball right into the quarterback's hands, and the center for the Giants couldn't snap the ball. So basically, the score was 40-0, but it was 26-0 at half, and the Cowboys offense had no part of that 26 points. They were just gifted. It was a ridiculously I looked outside my window during the game. It looked like a movie set. There was so much rain coming down, and you could see it at the stadium. How are the Giants going to pass the ball?
Okay, but Perloff, they both had to play in the rain, and one team put up 40 points and the other team put up 0 points. It'd be one thing if they lost by a field goal or a touchdown. This was so lopsided.
Well, it started, listen, it's one of those games. Once the Cowboys got that lead in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they have the formula.
The Giants were the Giants center, I don't know what
He's
he
a
was
rookie.
doing. They should have benched him. I guess there was nothing else to do. But I don't blame Daniel Jones. Did not look bad at all to me. Didn't look good or bad. He looked like
he looked like his back on the ground because he was in a crumpled heap all night.
But even so, you could not throw the football. So once you're down 16-0, you can see what was going to happen. They had to drop back, and Micah Parsons just pinned his ears back. That's not going to happen every week. They're going to be in much closer games. I agree. The defense is incredibly impressive.
They're so good.
The Cowboys are clearly going to be 12-5. But before you write into the Super Bowl, just remember they've been 13-3, 12-5 tons of times in the post-1996 Jerry era.
Yeah.
The problem comes in the playoffs, and I don't know, you did see a little I love Dak, but you saw a little shakiness even last night. Don't judge anything on that. You didn't even see the Cowboys weren't even challenged.
Okay, but here's the thing. I saw a team that didn't play any of its starters on the offense or the defense in the preseason, and look at how good they looked. All that considered.
Offense definitely did not look good.
Okay, well, all that considered, Daniel Jones, he might not have been the worst thing about last night, but in that game, put up the lowest passer rating he's ever had. It's not like Dak, they didn't look great, but it wasn't like historic all-time lows in terms of bad output. Daniel Jones was terrible.
Dak had a 72.0 rating, and he didn't even throw a pick.
Daniel Jones was like 30.
Yeah, but he had to throw the ball. If Dak was on the Giants, so look at the first drive. The Giants looked great. The first drive, they came right down the field. Then what happened? The guy snapped it into oblivion.
Yeah.
So they lost 25 yards, and then they tried a field goal attempt that was returned for a touchdown.
Okay.
Once that happened, then the next drive down, the ball came out and the sopping wet football flew into the air. Of course, that was a rain-caused turnover.
Okay, but so why couldn't the Giants be opportunistic then? Why was it only the Cowboys were opportunistic? And then the other part is, then explain to me the other 3 and outs that happened to the Giants. The
Giants
they had no answer.
They did move the ball down, and they missed field goals, and they turned the ball over, and all sorts of things happened. It's one of those games where once you get the lead, you can just pour it on. No pun intended about pouring it on. Honestly, do you think that the Cowboys are 40 points better than the Giants?
Maybe 36 points better than the Giants. No.
So you think the Giants are going like 2-15, 3-14?
I don't think they're going 2-15, but I do not think that they're taking a step forward. I did say I thought they were going to take a step back. This is probably not as stark as 40-0. That's not how the season is going to go. But there's no doubt that if you are a Cowboys supporter, you've got to be feeling great. 855-212-4CBS. But you also have to feel like, man, not a lot new here. Since Dak Prescott has been the starter, they've won 11 in a row against the Giants. This has just not even been competitive, really.
And what has it meant?
Well, okay. What has it meant? The Giants have had more terrible seasons. At least the Cowboys are making the playoffs, now not getting past the divisional round. But with a defense like this, I think this is what changes about Dallas. They finally have a defense.
This defense was great. Micah Parsons was amazing last year.
I know, but this is another step. He didn't win defensive player of the year last year. He's the favorite to do it this year. You want to talk about how Stephon Gilmore has gotten old. Well, he had a nice interception last night. I think that they've even taken a step forward. They are so fierce and finally maybe can go really, really toe-to-toe with San Francisco's defense, who also looked great yesterday, and the San Francisco offense also looked awesome.
I mean, they totally shut down San Francisco in the playoffs last year. It didn't really matter, though, because San Francisco's defense it also looks amazing.
Yeah, and they were the other team that was on the other side of a lopsided butt-whooping, San Francisco taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I wish we could fast forward. I wish the Cowboys could go 15-2, because I would like to talk to you the Friday before their divisional playoff game and see where your faith is.
You don't have to wait that long. They play each other. Dallas is at San Francisco on October 8th.
My point is, the Cowboys do this all the time. What does it matter? Show me something in the playoffs. And you know that's a dicey proposition. It always is. They were 12-5 the last 2 seasons.
Well, the irony is that with all these great quarterbacks in the AFC, it might be 3 teams in the NFC that are actually the best teams in football. It's possible. The way Dallas looked last night, the way San Francisco looked yesterday afternoon. Your Eagles was a bit more of a struggle, but we know that they still are a great team. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
Man, one game. That's a lot, especially. So if you count that, like, what do you think of the Cleveland-Cincinnati output that was totally a rain game? It shouldn't have meant a single thing. I thought
that Joe Burrow, that was embarrassing output for them.
Why? It was a monsoon.
Okay, but it was a monsoon where the Browns defense looked for real.
For real, yeah. Any defense looks for real when you cannot throw or catch a football because it's sopping wet.
But somehow the Browns managed to put points on the board. And it wasn't even just like with Dallas where it was, fueled by special teams.
The Cleveland's offense was nothing to write home about. It was terrible.
No, they were nothing to write home about, and I am a little concerned about Deshaun Watson. How could you not be? But at least they found a way to put points on the board. If you're an elite quarterback and you are good defense and you're a good offense, to put 3 points or no points on the board, I mean, you're telling me that's a walk in the park? Everyone should be like la-di-da if you're a Bengal fan, if you're a Giant fan today? No way.
Okay, let me remind you of a few historical games. Last year, San Francisco played Chicago week 1 in the rain. Meant absolutely nothing.
Well, they had a different quarterback. That was a Trey Lance game. They ended up doing all the damage in the regular season with Brock Purdy.
It did not matter. Nobody could throw the football. 2 years ago, Green Bay played San Francisco for some reason, Lambeau froze over in a way that made it impossible to take 4 steps without falling down. The score was 13-10 on a block punt. That's all that happened. How about the win game with Mac Jones and Josh Allen, Buffalo against New England? Of course you can't. There are certain conditions that you cannot throw the football.
Okay, so you just write so if you are playing a bad weather, you write every bad weather game off.
Every rain game in week 1 I completely write off. It means nothing. I would not take it to mean anything for the rest of the year.
Okay, but you just mentioned 1 rain game from week 1 and then 2 playoff games. Or one playoff game and another late season game.
Right.
Okay, so you would just write off all weather games, whether it's week 1 or whether it's in the playoffs, because that's not how football is.
Severe weather games are not really indicative of what's coming next. I don't think so. Of course, that Buffalo New England game where Mac Jones threw the ball less than 5 times. Yeah. It was windy. It was 2 years ago. That did not show, New England's a better team than Buffalo. Of course Buffalo beat them the next time out. They were the much better team that year.
Right.
But New England took advantage of the weather. And I hate to say it, there's a lot of luck involved. Last night, Tony Pollard gets the ball knocked out. It goes 20 yards downfield, and a Cowboys guy falls on it. I'm sorry, it's just totally random. Do you remember the Fog Bowl with the Eagles and the Bears in 1987?
No.
Well, I'll tell you right now,
I don't want to hear about it.
The Eagles were robbed.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So glad to have you guys on this Football Monday. The Weedos are in full effect in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. We say a hello to our CBS Sports Radio affiliates that are on coast to coast. And, of course, you can always download the free Odyssey app to listen to the show, crystal clear, and SiriusXM channel 158. We see you guys on the phones. We're going to get to you guys in just a matter of moments. We start off with the Cowboys, with the bad weather games. We've got so much more to move on to, including the most disappointing moment from Sunday. Not part of those 2 games, but Perloff and I just do not agree on this one. We'll give you a hint. Came in the Chargers-Dolphins game. So we got a lot to do. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds. Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone all season long. You can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports, or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. So just to recap what we've been talking about here, Joe Burrow throws for 82 yards in the rain, and Joe Burrow is the problem, not the rain. Get out of here. It's the rain.
No.
There were so many. It's impossible to grip the football and then to catch the football in a downpour.
Okay, this isn't
just never happens in the entire 103-year history of the NFL.
This is not just about Joe Burrow. This is not just about the Cowboys, although that's where this started with the Cowboys thoroughly throttling the New York Giants. It's about one team's ability to, despite bad conditions, still show the strengths of their team. And it happened both with Cleveland and with Dallas, which is their defenses are legit. And if you're going to be legit like that, I think that's for real. And I think the Cowboys are for real.
Well, I'd be careful about that when Cleveland plays Cincinnati again and Joe Burrow gets out of his early season stupor that he does every year. And once he gets some practice, I don't know. I just think that these games are not really indicative of what we'll see next week. I mean, who knows? Especially with Cleveland. Dallas is good. I'm going to give you that.
I think the Cleveland defense is real.
I mean, yes, their defense is pretty good, but
Jim Schwartz is there now.
But I mean, are you looking at them as like a real contender now?
I don't know, but I know that defense is real. Deshaun Watson still scares me because he really was not good yesterday. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Adrian is in Maryland. Adrian, how are you, sir?
Hey, guys, thanks for taking my call. Perloff, I'm a little upset with you. I understand you're a Philly fan, so you're going to hate the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
But your team was in the same situation.
Yeah, they look terrible.
They got two turnovers in the first half, and that's basically the only thing they ever did.
Absolutely.
If they didn't get those turnovers, they would have never been in the red zone.
That's because Jalen Hurts couldn't throw the ball because it was wet outside.
Come on, man.
Play that game.
Excuse.
By the way, put the Patriots and Eagles on a dry field, and the Eagles got ahead, and they just totally stopped playing altogether. They just sort of milked.
They stopped playing.
Yeah, they stopped playing.
So
but
NFL players stopped playing in the first and second quarter?
They've started play calling very conservatively because they had this lead, and it was wet outside, and they couldn't really pass the ball. That's what happened. You're saying that didn't happen?
No, it didn't happen.
You were telling me the Eagles were unfurling all their play calls in that day after they were up 16-0 in the second quarter.
I know you watched the whole game, right?
I did. I watched the whole game.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. All right. Do you think Belichick didn't kind of throw the game to you guys or try to give you guys the game?
No, of course.
Fourth quarter down. They're down 8 inside the red zone. He decides to go for it for some reason instead of kicking the field goal and being down 5. They come back. Jalen Hurts, they get a field goal, then Jalen Hurts comes back and fumbles.
That was
and that wasn't because it was wet, because he got hit, and New England had a chance to come back and score again.
Okay, but Adrian, don't you think the Eagles were out of sync all game after they got that lead? Like they didn't quite know what the proper game approach was. They were trying to milk that lead. That was obvious, I thought.
I know, but it's a little early to be sitting on a lead. Like, that's the other part, too. It's like, this is when both teams have to play in the conditions. It's hard for me to point to weather and to say, that one team is able, I think you credit the team that's able to play well in the weather, and I think it's a negative against the team that's not able to play well in the weather. Playing in the weather is a skill. Adrian, thank you so much for the phone call. Appreciate it.
Right, it's a skill when there's bad weather.
Right.
But if a game's not bad weather, then I'm saying there's not as much carryover as there would normally be.
Okay, but not everything's going to be perfect conditions, especially as we get into the winter and the playoffs.
Right. But first of all, the Cowboys are going to beat the Giants every time anyway, so that's irrelevant. But if it was a dry game, it probably would have been 33-13 or something. They probably would have blown them out. But it's not a 40-0 kind of game. This is not like this isn't like a 1-16 team against a 16-1 team. I'm telling you, both teams are closer to the middle, I think, than that game showed.
Daniel is in Florida. Hey, Daniel, what's up, dude?
Hey, how you doing today? I have to agree with Perloff in this one that, we've all seen games where, for one reason or another, it just gets away from the other team, and, weather is often a big factor in those games. And in this one in particular, you could just see it happen right in front of your eyes. The Giants' first drive was looking good, then they had a massive turnover, which completely kills their motivation. And then another turnover happens.
The momentum, not the motivation. But yeah.
Oh, momentum. And then another turnover happens, and they get down a few scores. And, before you know it, you're down multiple scores, and you have to pass every down, and the defense knows this, so now they're relentlessly able to get to you. And, with that massive downpour, it's easy for the Giants to say, it's game one. It's raining like crazy. We just want to get this over with. Meanwhile, they're defeated and deflated, and Dallas, on the other hand, their brains are filled with dopamine and their muscles are filled with adrenaline. They're ready to go.
And it's a downhill, and it snowballs. Daniel, it's a good point. Things were stacked up against the Giants. I just have to believe 2 points here, and thank you for the call. One, when you have $40 million a year quarterbacks, I'm sorry, the expectation is more. Like, people are saying Daboll is this brilliant play call, or he doesn't call the plays, but this brilliant offensive mind. So you got to do something, try to kickstart your team. You got to try to shift the momentum. You got to try to change something. That wasn't there. And the other part, if you're talking about, and this is where also I'll crush Daboll because he deserves to be criticized here, the head coach of the Giants, if you have waved the white flag on this game, that means the quarterback has to get taken out. So when you take your 2 starting tackles out of the game, Daniel Jones has got to leave the game. Like, why he was in there with backup offensive linemen is malpractice by a head coach.
Definitely odd. I didn't understand that. But that being said, it wasn't. Daniel Jones did nothing. It's 16-0 Cowboys. Daniel Jones has not made a single mistake yet. Did nothing wrong.
I say single mistake.
So 16-0.
He was just under crazy duress.
Not even at that point. He wasn't even under duress. They drove right down the field.
No, the second drive.
The second drive
he was under crazy duress.
He just threw a little out pattern that the guy caught, and then the ball
he got hit. The ball slipped out of his hand.
No, he got sacked on first down, didn't he?
It was, but Daniel Jones certainly didn't do anything wrong. Was that before or after the Micah Parsons? Oh, okay. Parsons got him wide.
Got him.
But regardless, it wasn't on Jones. I mean, he was bad, but there was nothing he could do. I mean, I'm sorry, there was nothing Brian Dable was going to game plan to make the center all of a sudden snap the ball correctly. He had about 25 bad snaps that game.
Well, then maybe, you have a rookie coming in. You have to understand that maybe in bad weather, when you are down, maybe it's time to shuffle the deck a little bit and get that guy out of there. I mean, I don't know, do something.
Andy Reid didn't pull Kadarius Toney.
And that was a huge mistake, and it cost them. Andrew is in Michigan, wants to talk about the Cowboys. Hey, Andrew, what's up?
Hi, I just wanted to make a comment about, even this early in the season, you sound like every other Cowboys fan for the past 10 years.
Who, me?
And just that the optimism after one game, and I don't think Perloff could have put it any better to be down 2 scores that early and be able to pin your ears back. I mean, they're not going to be in a situation like that potentially one more game the rest of the season. So to lean out there that far and say, man, I really like them at a Super Bowl pick, I just think that's a heck of a reach.
Andrew, I took them to win. I picked them to win the Super Bowl last week before this game even started. But to the caller before, to Adrian's point, right? Who do you think has a better offense, the Giants or the New England Patriots?
The Giants or the Patriots? I would probably argue the Giants.
Okay, so how come the Patriots could come back on the Eagles and make that a game, but the Giants couldn't?
But it stopped raining. It stopped raining in New England. It didn't never stop raining in New York.
Okay, but then it did start raining again, and it was still a game.
In New England,
it raining late in the game?
I think they got a really dry window. I think Mac Jones got way better because the ball dried off.
Okay. But then he got so much better, the ball dried off, then why didn't the Eagles just kill him then from that time out? If the Eagles are such a better team, when the conditions were good all around, Andrew, thank you for the phone call, then why didn't the Eagles pull away?
I think the Eagles had a bit of a Super Bowl hangover, and also the Eagles,
okay.
The Eagles were
now
just
it's Super Bowl hangover.
They're just a little disengaged all game. I mean, it was a funny game. The Eagles never got any offensive rhythm going. It happens. Belichick had a good game plan. But there never felt like a moment where the Eagles were terrified they were going to lose that game. They didn't look like they were really even super engaged in the game.
Okay, but like having it both ways, where the weather neutralizes everything, and that's really hard. And then when the weather clears up, what, also neutralized?
Well, I think if it was a dry second half, the Giants probably would have came back and made it a little closer than 40-0. I mean, the Patriots, trust me as an Eagles fan, like there wasn't a moment where like, ooh, the Patriots are definitely going to win this game. I didn't feel that.
Sean is in Oregon. What's up, Sean? How you doing, dude?
Pretty good, you guys. Hope you had a great weekend.
We did. How was yours?
Not bad.
Good.
Who throws in the flag at halftime? You know what I mean? Anything can change in the second half, but the Giants, their whole body language and everything. I mean, even Danny White commented on it. And this is going to be known as the Dan Quinn doomsday defense. And defense wins championships. We all know that, right?
We do. That is what they say, Sean.
And think how the Texans are today. I'm wearing my hat and my boots today, just in representative of them here. Because, how tall are they walking, with the Longhorns beating Alabama and then the 2024 Super Bowl champions starting out like they did? That's awesome. I mean, we're just, the Cowboys have been knocking on the door for a couple years.
Yeah, a couple decades. Wait, Sean, tonight is Sean is off to a good start here, Perloff, because the bet that you have between yourself and Sean is that Sean believes that the Jets are going to finish 3rd or 4th in the AFC East, and you believe they're going to finish 1st or 2nd.
Why is Sean off to a good start?
Well, he might be off to a good start, but look
how Dolphins started.
The Dolphins,
right? But
Sean,
how did the Dolphins start?
I thought the Dolphins. Sean, thank you for the phone call. I thought the Dolphins looked really good yesterday.
Yeah, I mean they looked really good when they beat Baltimore 51-48 last year. I have no fear of the Dolphins.
You don't think? Okay, so watching the Dolphins, why I think this is potentially good for Sean is because obviously the Dolphins look really good. I think they looked really good. I think Tua and Tyreek Hill could be the most feared duo in the NFL. Now, again,
don't make me say it.
Okay.
There's no way Tua lasts. No way. I would cash my bet right now if I was Sean. There's no way Tua's going to last 17 weeks. That looked amazing. Did too last year. It's not going to last.
Okay, but I never watched that game yesterday and thought like, oh man, Tua's out there getting battered around, and they started without their starting left tackle.
Yeah, faced a terrible defense.
Well, but they shouldn't be a terrible defense. That's the thing about the Chargers, though. Their head coach is an offensive-minded head coach, and they've spent a lot of resources on the defense. They shouldn't be a bad defense.
You mean a defensive-minded?
Defensive-minded head coach. Sorry.
Yeah, but their secondary is god awful. Just the worst. They were last year, too. They have troubles in the secondary. You could see it. I mean, they were totally out to lunch the entire game.
Right, but we're talking about getting to the quarterback, right? And shouldn't the pass rush be that part of it? And if you're talking about Bosa and you're talking about Khalil Mack?
Yeah, I don't know. They're not super scary. That was a nice win, but it wasn't didn't scare me much for the Jets. I think the Jets have two tough games. They have Dallas coming up next week. Obviously, it's a very tough game.
In Dallas.
But I'd like to see... I don't know. Miami started out like this last year. They just had these gigantic shootout wins. It doesn't seem sustainable.
Well, if Tua stays healthy, it's sustainable.
Yeah, but even that, they can't let you. The Chargers ran at will. It ran all over them. There were definitely some signs of, we got to shore this up on defense. So Vic Fangio comes in, and he couldn't stop them at all the entire game until the very end.
But when it mattered, I mean, they dialed up like the most perfect, sending extra help, sending the blitz. They were great in that final possession where the Chargers, with a supposedly elite quarterback in Justin Herbert, and I know we're on in Oregon and we have a lot of people who love Herbert and he is fun to watch, but it is unconscionable that a guy who is this good of a quarterback can get the ball with 2 timeouts, a minute 45, and because the Dolphins missed the point after on the last touchdown they scored, you only needed a field goal. Your kicker hit a 50-yarder earlier in the game. You needed, 40 yards and couldn't get it?
That's unconscionable?
That is horrible if you're Justin Herbert.
Horrible.
Yes. You're an elite quarterback. You have to be able to get your team in field goal range with that amount of time on the clock, with the 2 timeouts. You were gifted a good opportunity, and they lost the game because they couldn't move the ball.
Well, first of all, Herbert did not much all day. I mean, it was a run first game. Eckler had 100 and Kelly had 100. Yeah, Herbert wasn't doing much all game. And then I think the Chargers screwed up by not running the ball because the Dolphins' pass rush was on Herbert immediately. And did he get sacked twice? Yeah, sacked twice and 1 intentional grounding. There's nothing Herbert could have done on any of those plays. I didn't see a lot of criticism of Herbert.
I think there should be criticism of Herbert.
What was he supposed to do? They were on him in like a second.
Okay, but you're talking about elite of elite quarterbacks here, right? Yeah. You have to find a way at that point. Is nothing ever on the quarterback, in your opinion, Perloff?
Well, it's 1 drive out of 25 drives.
It was the drive.
Yeah, I think Herbert, there's nothing Herbert could have done on any of those plays. Show me one play, maybe he could have stepped up and ran for something, but the O-line just completely disappeared on that one.
The intentional grounding, I mean, he's got to be able to get the ball away better than that.
That was really close. I didn't think they had to throw the flag on that one. The announcers were sort of waffling on it. I'll give you that. He should have gotten out of the pocket and thrown it. But the 2 sacks, I mean, he was immediately, the pocket closed immediately on him.
And I think that is a little bit of what this Miami defense can do. And I know it's like more of a shootout of a game. You're not sending this defensive tape to Canton, Ohio. But when they needed it, they dialed up. They were able to get to Herbert and got him down.
But you could run on this Miami defense. And also, too, early in the season last year, Miami had these giant shootouts, too, and didn't lead anywhere.
Well, they made the playoffs.
Yeah, but they weren't like a real threat by any means.
They almost beat the Bills in Buffalo. I mean, no, but this felt a little bit different. And I thought Herbert should be getting criticism for this. And I know, again, we're on in Oregon. Everyone loves Justin Herbert there, but that's a position where he has to get them yardage. Like, he has to be better there.
I'm not sure what he could have done differently. I'm not seeing anyone killing him for that. What about the line? Like, not a single guy hit their block.
You can be critical of them, too.
Whoever was blocking Jalen Phillips, I have no idea what happened to you there.
That was nobody. That's the answer. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Look at the call screener. We got Eagles, we got Dolphins, we got Cowboys. We're going to talk about all of that with you. Also, we got to get to Deion Sanders in Colorado. They moved to 2-0, so how far can they go this season? We'll answer that question. After this CBS Sports Update, here's Rich Hackett.
Sports Flag.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs. For protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. The NFL kicked off its season with the defending Super Bowl champs Thursday. Week 1 closes tonight with 2 more contenders, as the Bills have won the AFC East the last 3 years, but have fallen short of the big game. They'll meet the Jets, who made the biggest splash of the offseason when they acquired future Hall of Famer and 4-time MVP Aaron Rodgers. Of course, there's another former MVP in this one, in Josh Allen, who said the addition of Rodgers certainly raises the level of competition in the division.
It makes a really tough division even tougher. You look across the teams in this league, there's a lot of talent in this league, and a lot of talent in this division, I should say. So each and every time we play, it's going to be a dogfight.
DeMar Hamlin's comeback is on hold for another week. The Bills' safety will reportedly be inactive. The Browns' Jack Conklin done for the season with a torn ACL and MCL. The Eagles' defense took a big hit today with linebacker Nakobe Dean sidelined with a foot injury. He'll be out a few weeks. Right now in Philadelphia, game 1 of 2, the Braves with an 8-6 lead over the Phillies. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Coming up later on the Zach Gelb Show, we recap a busy weekend of college football and the NFL. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, get to ask us a question, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. All right, I want to ask you a hypothetical question.
Okay.
Do you at least acknowledge that often week one is a very deceiving week?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm mad at myself that I didn't bet an under. Like, yes.
Yeah,
like,
oh my
the
gosh,
defenses generally are ahead of the offenses in week one.
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans, Tennessee set NFL offense back about 3 years, and that wasn't the only one. And you will also acknowledge that weather games affect the outcome.
They do.
Okay, so I just want to get that on the record. Maybe I'm going too far. When discounting Dallas's win over New York.
No, it's one thing about changing it. It's another when it's a thorough butt whooping. Like the Dallas game, the Cincinnati and Browns game. Like, it's one thing to lose a close game because of weather, or a weird game because your quarterback didn't practice, or Joe Burrow had a calf strain all preseason, whatever. It's another thing to just go get kicked.
Which is Dallas, New York.
Dallas and also Cleveland. I mean, Cincinnati's offense couldn't do anything.
Cleveland's could? I mean,
they did more. What,
that
they
game
put up
was
23 at
10-3
least?
for forever. That was a terrible game.
It was not a great game.
Yeah.
24, pardon me. It was 24-3. I mean, I just 3 points.
Joe Burrow threw for 82 yards.
It was insane.
There's no way that happens on a dry football field. That would never, ever happen in a million years.
Let's hear from Joe Burrow, Stu. Can we hear? This was Joe Burrow on the terrible week one.
Yeah, that happens in week one. Obviously, those things happen when your quarterback doesn't perform in training camp. And, that was obviously something that I would have liked to have done, but there's no excuses. It's obviously not very good today.
So funny when the guy's like, well, I haven't been practicing, but, no excuses, even though I just laid out all the excuses. But
by the way, I can't believe he said that, because that's exactly what everyone else was saying. I didn't know Joe Burrow himself said, I didn't play in preseason. What do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he was dealing with a calf strain. Just 3 points, not what you expect.
82 passing yards.
Not what you expect from Joe Burrow. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Phil is in Pennsylvania. Hi, Phil. How are you?
Hi, Maggie Pearl. Been a long time.
I know. How you been, dude? Where you been?
I've been wonderful. Anyway, I had the answer to your question as of why New England was able to make a comeback and not the Giants. Simple. Coaching. Belichick had 6 months to prepare for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, and the Eagles have new coordinators on both the offensive and defensive side. And like Andy Reid says, any win in the National Football League is a good win, especially going to New England in bad weather and having new people all over the place.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be discounted that the Eagles, let them come back. Of course, it's the NFL. New England always come back. I wouldn't expect a Belichick team to, completely fold up the tent after the first quarter. You're going to come back, but the Eagles held on.
Phil, it's a great point. It's weird to watch Belichick and Andy Reid, 2 coaches I think that we all respect, with these crazy 4th down decisions when they have time left and timeouts.
Bill, I call him Bill.
Yeah, Bill.
He has not mastered 4th down. I mean, obviously, he actually
sort of ushered in a new era when he went for it against the Colts on his own 28-yard line and failed. That's not his thing. He's more, I agree with Phil, he's a game prep guy.
Yeah.
And he did have a lot of time. He clearly figured out some things about Jalen Hurts. But the Eagles were not trying to open the field up at all. I know that sounds like a lame excuse. I don't think the Eagles, that was not their A game, which is fine. I mean, you go on the road to New England. I think New England, and I probably owe an apology to you. I think New England might be better than I thought.
Listen, the defense is good, and the offense is not terrible. It looks better now that they have an actual offensive coordinator. Plus, they got the Tom Brady out there. But
doesn't it strike you? Doesn't it strike you as sad that there's a moral victory at home for the New England Patriots have a moral victory? That's the way I was reading. I have a lot of friends who are Patriots fans on social media and stuff are like pretty proud of how the team went here. I mean, that's an unbelievable fall from grace. They're celebrating it, and you just did it too.
I know.
A week 1 loss at home.
You want to know why? Because the expectations for the Eagles are to win the Super Bowl, and the expectation for the Patriots are surprise people and maybe make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they do feel like a 9-8, 10-7 team. Like they're just going to be well coached, and it feels like they fixed special teams a little. They drafted a punter and a kicker. So I'm actually into this team a little bit. I think they're going to play smart football. Last year they did not.
Last year they did not.
Yeah, that whole Joe Judge crap, whatever.
So Brady gets honored at the game, comes out, does this like sort of victory lap around the field.
Okay, I didn't watch the halftime. What happened exactly?
So he kind of came out and like ran out and like did this victory lap and did like the signature fist pump to the crowd. He had his jersey on, obviously. It just looks so different without the helmet and stuff. It's just, he did well though. So
I mean, they showed him in the owner's box all game long.
Yeah.
And he did not look super comfortable up there.
Yeah, there were some animated conversations going on.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. Mac Jones, not bad. I will give him that. Okay, Mac Jones, I can see it.
Again,
it might work.
A real offensive coordinator, this is what happens. Mark is in Miami. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Hey, guys, good to be back. Maggie, always the sensible one on the show. Perloff, once again, slandering the great Tua. I told you last year, and I'm a Tua stan, Tua's the best deep ball defender in the league. His touch is just pure perfection, and that Tua to Cheetah combo is the most deadly combo, even probably more than Mahomes and Kelsey, even though they have more banners, but they've been playing a lot together. You just see what this team does to defenses, guys, and I'm telling you, if Tua is, knock on wood, fully healthy, this team can get to the Super Bowl. They've got everything they need. They've got the most deadly offense in the league, not only with Waddle. They can beat you up top with their third receiver, even guys like Braxton Berrios, who is a great pickup, a guy like
Craycraft, that guy, jeez.
Yeah, him too. And Vic Fangio now in place, and you look at Jalen Phillips breaking out. The only concern I have about this Finn squad, obviously, besides Tua's injury, is Jalen Ramsey being out, so he's probably going to be back around December, and maybe our passing defense is going to be a little suspect. But once he gets back, guys, I think this team is fully locked in sync, and you see if Tua's fully healthy, he can win the MVP because nobody's going to stop Cheetah one-on-one. And Perloff,
it's crazy.
We got to make a wager when they go to Philly in Dolphins play in Philly in I think November or Sunday night. You're going to find out they're probably going to have Darius Slay one-on-one with Cheetah. You're going to find out why Tua took your guy Jalen Hurts' job at Alabama, because he's going to show the world he's the best quarterback in the league outside of Mahomes, and he's fully healthy. This guy can win multiple MVPs because his touch.
Wait, Mark, we got to figure out what the stakes are. First of all, Perloff, would you like to accept a Eagles-Dolphins bet? You already have one bet going with Sean
November?
and Oregon.
Yeah, exactly. Sunday night in the Link, which is one of the toughest places to play.
Oh, yeah, I like this.
You're going to find out head-to-head why he took his job at Alabama, and he's going to be the better man on the field.
All right, we need some stakes here, though. Mark, this is awesome. Thank you so much. Good to hear from you. What do we think?
Well, hold on. Is this going to be a Eagles-Dolphins bet, or is this a Tua versus Hurts bet?
I think it's like a Tua-Hurts bet is kind of what Mark was saying there. He kept saying this is why Tua took his job, and it's personal.
Mark, call back in. I think he's saying Eagles-Dolphins. And heck, you give me the Eagles in November at home against the Dolphins. That feels like a great spot for the Eagles, who are amazing at home. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought that was a big one for Mark. I think he was more talking about Jalen Hurts versus Tua, who's going to have a better game.
No. He's taking the Dolphins. First of all, he's just said Tua is going to be a 2-time MVP, and I have to be honest, I absolutely love it. That is awesome.
Great take.
Just to jump to his second MVP is awesome. But one thing, the Dolphins, I'm looking at the numbers now. They let up 5.9 yards per carry. That's a bit of a problem. Something the Eagles, by the way, cannot take advantage of. They could not run at all yesterday. But listen, I think the Dolphins, we know Tua's great. We knew about the numbers last year, but his health and this defense, they did not look good against the Chargers yesterday. I mean, the Chargers are a good offense. That didn't worry anybody at all. They easily could have lost that game.
Yeah, of course, but it was like, you know where the ball is going. You know it's going to Hill, and they still weren't able to stop it. You're saying that the Chargers don't have a great defense. Like, they should have a good defense.
I mean, they're bottom 10 in the league, but you saw how stupid they are. At the end of the half, Tua's like, well, these DBs are awful. I'll bet you if I throw a deep ball that they'll pass interference, we'll get a field goal. Boom. How stupid do you have to be? And then how many times did they let Hill behind? There's one job. You know, I've played enough cornerback in my life, which is none, to know that you don't let everyone behind you. How many times were the Dolphins behind their safeties?
I don't think that's a Chargers thing. I think that would have happened to almost any team in the league.
Okay, Tyreek Hill had 215 yards receiving. That's not going to happen every week.
He's talking about getting 2,000 yards for the season.
Yeah, no,
He started out with a bang.
He might, but listen, the Chargers' defensive backs are a cut below everybody else.
Let's get to Big Dave. He's in Kentucky. Dave, you must have been feeling great last night.
Dave, let me say that Mark should have a Red Bull endorsement. That dude made me
I know.
Week one. Listen, I'm here to call in and tell you all that I'm taking a page out of the McLovin Eagles last year playbook, because there was a lot of things last night that I saw that really concerns me about the Cowboys. I mean, the Giants
that
were
concerned
actually
you. You won 40-0. What concerned you?
Yeah, the Giants on the first drive, I mean, were able to run the ball on the inside pretty effectively. I mean, we had our new kicker. He missed his first PAT.
Oh, but, Dave, they ran it effectively for like 4 plays, and then it was over.
Wait, I know it, Dave. The play that must have bothered you, Dak threw the ball into the end zone, and actually the tight end got a hand on it, but there were 3 Giants and 1 Cowboy receiver there. That play was weird. Is Dak still maybe a little bit of work in progress there?
Perloff, you can't blame the weather for everything else and then be nitpicking Dak Prescott's pass.
I thought Dak threw into the crowds a couple times, and I don't understand why.
Listen, hey, well, Hendershot and Ferguson actually dropped some balls.
Yeah.
Hendershot dropped a couple. He dropped one in the end zone. Man, he was wide open. But actually, I am being totally facetious with this call.
Yeah.
But there was some things last night that it was hard to throw the ball and all that. Well, let me tell you, the funniest thing, when they put the camera on Daniel Jones, he looked like the 4-year-old that got separated from his parents at the amusement park.
Oh, no.
Oh, listen, you guys, if you didn't see that, try to go back and find it. I mean, his eyes, man, looked like he had seen his own ghost. I mean,
Sam Darnold saw the ghost, but that was in the same stadium. Yeah, when Daniel Jones had like all the bits of tire and stuff all over his face, like after one of several Micah Parsons sacks. Listen, Dave, Dave, thank you for the call.
Tell me the one Cowboy who had a good offensive game.
Dave, thank you so much.
Tell me, name one Cowboy who had a good offensive game.
I thought Pollard looked pretty good.
He looked okay.
He looked okay.
I mean, I think he was under 4 yards a carry. He certainly wasn't peak Zeke Elliott.
I mean, CeeDee Lamb almost had 100 yards receiving in a terrible rainstorm. That's pretty good.
Okay.
Most of it on one play.
I mean, Zach Martin was non-blockable. I mean, he was all over the place, Zach Martin.
No. You mean he was blockable? He was extremely blockable. Like he blocked. Yeah. What do you mean? How do you say an offensive guard had a good game?
Yes, he blocked like crazy. He was blocking the crap out of the Giants.
Was he really?
Those little tiny bits of tire, though.
That was awesome.
It was like, there's nothing like a picture's worth 1,000 words. There's nothing that's going to encapsulate your face being on the ground than those little bits of tire all over your forehead and your nose. Yikes. Okay. Coming up, we do have Deion Sanders to get to. What do you have to say about the big win over Nebraska and now Colorado 2-0? We'll also get to what's going on with Alabama after a loss to Texas. Don't move, Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We were talking about sports triggers. Mike is in Pennsylvania, has got one.
We never should have let Jimmy Butler go.
No.
Come playoff time?
I was tickled by it. He's got a laugh that makes me laugh. People said Kawhi Leonard in the chat.
Yes. Very much. Wow. Wow. Maggie, I think the Sixers are going to win the NBA championship this year.
The Bills will win a Super Bowl.
Don't say that.
The Jets will have a solid, dependable, steady season with no drama.
That's so good.
Can I just do one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Mets are going to figure it out.
That's just mean. We're just piling on Maggie.
It's so easy.
I threw in the Jets, too.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
What should we take from the Cowboys last night? I think a lot. It's one thing to just win and beat the Giants, which the Cowboys always do, Perloff, with Dak Prescott at the helm. It's another to thoroughly whitewash them in every phase of the game. Both offenses, obviously the Giants' offense was terrible. They didn't score a point. But Dallas's offense was not crisp. They were rusty, but the defense and the special teams led the way. They are that good.
They weren't rusty. It was a monsoon.
Well, they also didn't play any preseason games.
Yeah, but there was no... by the way, I was wrong. Pollard did have a better average than I thought. I said the last segment he was around 4. He was around 5 per carry, but it didn't matter. They were up 16-0 because of 2 miscues by the Giants before the offense really had a chance to do anything. So I don't think you can tell anything from that game. This is going to sound dismissive, but I don't even want to hear about the Cowboys until January 12th in the divisional round playoff match. We know they can be a really good regular season team. What do they have to do to be different than last year's 12-5 team or the year before that 12-5 team? Micah Parsons was awesome last year, too.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. So what is different about this team? Is it Mike McCarthy's play calling? We haven't seen that yet.
Well, I mean, that's a little hard, right? In the rain.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, also in the blowout, they didn't need his play calling.
Right.
Next week, they have the Jets coming up. Then they have Cardinals a win, and then New England and at San Francisco. There's some tests coming up for Dallas.
And then at the Chargers. I mean, that's a game where you're going to have to put up a lot of points. Listen, I'll agree, but I thought that the defense was better than advertised. We know they're good. They were super good. And again, this is supposed to be a Giants team, and I know they got behind the 8 ball very early because of the miscues and the special teams, and then the
fumble pick thing, whatever that was.
Yeah, the field goal attempt return for a touchdown, and then the fumble return or whatever return for a touchdown, and to put the Giants behind the 8 ball, but to suffocate them in that way when the Giants did make meaningful upgrades on the offense by adding receivers. This was really impressive to me. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You know what else was impressive? And this is one that you called that I wanted to wait and see. And that's Jordan Love. Now, whether you think this was a lot of Green Bay and also a little help here by the fact that the Chicago Bears were god-awful yesterday, but Jordan Love looked totally comfortable. 3 touchdowns, no picks, 245 yards. He was in command, Perloff. This is such a great start. If you're a Packer fan, you knew that Love was he had been in games before. He's been sitting behind Rodgers for 3 years. I didn't think it would look this seamless. I'm just not sure how much to credit the Packers or just look at Chicago and be like, wow, Chicago stinks.
Okay, I'm super high on Jordan Love.
Yes.
Not blown away by this game.
Is that right?
I thought he looked good and competent, but he certainly didn't look like Aaron Rodgers. And here it's another don't overreact to week 1. They clearly own the Bears, just like the Cowboys own the Giants. It was so hard to separate the Bears' incompetence. And also, Jordan Love, look at his final box score, 15 for 27, 245. That is really modest. Aaron Jones looks great, but then he pulled up with a hamstring issue at a certain point of the game. I did like the Packers' defense, but it kind of feels like same old story with Packers. Really good defense. I don't know. I want to see Jordan Love get in a shootout. Is he in the Josh Allen category? Is he in the Justin Herbert, and now Tua apparently, category? I don't know. I wasn't ready to. I'm big Jordan Love. I didn't see exactly what I wanted to see in game 1 because the Bears are so bad, Maggie. It's just impossible for me to tell.
The Bears, can we just fast forward this thing and just do what we all know is going to happen, which is the head coach is going to get fired, and let's just start this thing over, because I didn't understand when you're down double digits, why aren't you throwing the ball then? I thought last year I understood it because it's like they don't have any receivers and Justin Fields is still super young, but I don't understand this year. Why did DJ Moore have 2 targets and 2 catches? That makes no sense. I
have no idea. And also, he had a great drive in the first quarter where I'm like, oh, they finally, or maybe it was second quarter. Early in the game, he had a nice drive, and I'm like, they finally found a passing game, and then they just
abandoned it.
I'd give a little credit to Green Bay. Again, their defense was great. Rashawn Gary looks amazing again. So, it's just a mess there. I was thinking about Caleb Williams. We can get into tanking teams later, but if Chicago, who was the worst team in the league last year, if they tank again, I wonder if that's one of the teams Caleb Williams is not interested in playing for.
Oh, well, it depends who's coaching the team, although it doesn't matter, I guess.
Well, I think it's a plus that you get to hire a new coach. So you bring in a new coach, but it's cold, and it seems like the place where quarterbacks go to die.
Yeah.
Justin Field went to die. Green Bay's the opposite. It's a place where quarterbacks go to the Hall of Fame. And Jordan Love.
Over and over and over again. Yeah.
So I'm going to agree with you. I give Jordan Love a B+. Is that a fair grade? But you were my expectations were higher than yours.
Yes, mine weren't very high. So I think you're going to, continue on the legacy of beating up on the Bears.
Yeah.
You did so in convincing fashion. No one ever thought the Bears were coming back in that game. They had it running away. And it was also not just the offense behind defensive highlights like this one from Quay Walker.
Yep.
Fields takes the snap,
Scans the secondary with time. Now fires it up in the middle. Intercepted. Quay Walker at the 30 to the 25. Cutting right. Breaks a tackle. Spins to his left. Still on his feet. 15-10. He's going to the house for a pick 6. Touchdown Green Bay. And an opening day dagger.
There you go. And that was Wayne Larrivee and the Packers Radio Network with the dagger.
Yeah, I mean, it's about time some of those 9 first-round picks on Green Bay's defense finally did something.
Yeah, finally started to carry their weight.
Again, I'm seeing it everywhere. I feel like, and I'm the Jordan Love guy, I don't want week 1 overreactions. This week 1, we really, really don't know yet. All we know for sure is Chicago's bad. I don't know yet on Green Bay. You know, Aaron Rodgers plays tonight, and I feel like people are going to make a comparison between Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. Totally unfair. Aaron Rodgers plays a really good team in Buffalo. Jordan Love was gifted an easy start here. I think it's a great start for Jordan Love. So much more to be determined.
And then for the Justin Fields love out there, well,
is it his fault?
I can't tell.
It's that damn Bears uniform. You can't play quarterback with that.
I want to like him. I do like him, but I want to believe that he can take the next step and that this is going to look different. And it just really didn't look a lot different.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Chase Claypool, who they traded for last year, former
still
Steeler,
a 0.
Total disaster. 0-0-0 box score. He's bad. DJ Moore in the limited action where you actually saw him, he's really good.
You got
a game plan to him.
I checked at one point. I'm sorry to step on you. I checked at one point. Is DJ Moore hurt?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't understand where is he? And this is not just because I took DJ Moore over 3.5 receptions as my prop. When I tell you how wrong I was with my bets this week, I mean, I guess it's good if you're going to be wrong, just be really wrong.
Well, it's funny because that wrong was one of the key storylines of the week.
I know.
Do you see DJ Moore in the locker room afterwards? Gave like, I don't know what's going on here. It feels like he already regrets it. That could not have been a worse start. I mean,
well, listen, it's not like the Panthers are doing any better. His old team don't look very good either.
It doesn't matter. The Panthers could go 0-17. The Bears, it's their time to show up, or you have to completely change everything.
Two-Ton Tony's in the chat said Maggie lost money. I mean, big time. I mean, my totals that I'm betting is not very big, so I'm always going to be okay here. I don't let it get out of hand. But I was loud wrong on all my bets. Big wrong.
Wait. What were your 3 bets? The DJ Moore one, I can't believe that didn't hit. That's shocking.
Me too. That was shocking. I also had the Bengals and Browns over. So stupid. That's my own fault.
That one's on you because you probably
can't bet overs on the first week 1. Yeah. So stupid. And my other was I had Denver and I laid the 4. And now Stu's showing up today in the Raiders shirt. I can't believe you're back on with the Raiders, Stu. 1 win, a 1-point win, and you've abandoned all of the tanking for Caleb.
I have to support the team in their, endeavors to try to win the Super Bowl until next week when they lose, and then they lose like 10 in a row. Then I'll be back on the tanking bandwagon.
I mean, first of all,
Raiders Bills next week.
Oh yeah, East
the Raiders
Coast too.
Well, let's just see what happens tonight.
The Raiders were by far the better team. Josh McDaniels is the only thing that kept that game close, which is very surprising to me. Russell Wilson looked okay. I have no problem with Russell Wilson. I just think Denver couldn't really stop the Raiders. Only the Raiders could stop the Raiders. Devontae Adams is so good.
You just forget. I mean, it's not like you forget the Devontae Adams, but like he is so good. It does not matter who is throwing passes his way. And Jimmy, this is the healthiest he's going to be all year probably. So he looked good. I thought might seem like a nitpick, but I don't think it is. I thought what Sean Payton did to start that game was so awful. Just awful. It was so egotistical. If you're Sean Payton, and how he started the game was with an onside kick.
Right.
Okay. What is Sean Payton most known for as being a coach in the NFL? If there was one play that was defining Sean Payton.
At the Super Bowl against Indy.
Right. Second half of the Super Bowl, they start with an onside kick, totally changes the momentum. Saints go on to win, beat Peyton Manning. I thought him starting with the onside kick was such a look at me moment for him. Like, this is supposed to be about the team. This is supposed to be about you resurrecting Russell Wilson. This is about getting Denver back to a Super Bowl team or at least a playoff team. Let's start there. A playoff team. And to do the remember my big call from Super Bowl 44, like it matters, was such a me over the team moment. I loathed it. I did not like it at all. It was so just ego, and the fact that it didn't convert and it was unsuccessful just was like the universe telling Sean Payton this was a bad move.
Well,
sent a bad message.
Well, I think he was saying this is like a new era. We're going to do things differently, my way here. But that's not my problem. How about the fact that they barely scored a point in the second half against the Raiders defense?
I know.
I think the Raiders looked at the tape in the first half and said, oh my gosh, your receivers are so awful. We're just going to start crowding in.
Yep.
Then there's nothing they can do because there was no Jared Judy. So it was,
and Williams is still coming back.
And Dulcich got hurt, the tight end. So then it was just basically Cortland Sutton or nothing. Javonte Williams looked okay. But, I actually didn't bother me that much. But I feel like I was watching the same Denver team from last year. Like, they might as well have been Hackett on the sideline. They lost 17-16 last year, week 1, to the Seahawks.
Okay. Well, maybe this is the time where we announce that we're going to be doing a new weekly award.
What's that?
The weekly award for the Nathaniel Hackett Award for coach who should be fired after week 1. But
definitely should have gone for it.
Maybe we do this. There was a time they kicked like a 54-yarder or something. I'm like, not the same, but close.
Definitely should have gone for it.
Almost a 64-yarder. I think this week's Nathaniel Hackett Award for coach who should be fired after week 1, it's not going to be Sean Payton, even though I hated the onside kick. It's got to be Matt Eberflus, just circling back around to our Bears conversation. This dude's dead in the water.
Yeah, I don't totally blame Matt Eberflus. I think the GM has made some terrible moves. I mean, the Chase Claypool trade was bad. It doesn't look like they know what to do with DJ Moore. It doesn't look like the Justin Fields pick. So I'm going to blame the GM too, but Eberflus is definitely taking. I still don't understand why they hired a defensive guy when you're chronically plagued with bad offense. They need an offensive guy there.
Absolutely. So we can just fast forward this thing and we can just hand Matt Eberflus the Nathaniel Hackett Award for coach who should be fired after week 1.
Definitely should have gone for it.
By the way, he's getting some competition out west. Brandon Staley better get his act together. He better win a darn challenge before this thing is over.
We'll get to that in just a moment. A lot more to do here on Maggie and Perloff. Coming up next, Perloff goes against the grain. You don't want to miss it. It is Maggie and Perloff. Want to watch the show? Come on in. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio. You can always download the absolutely free Odyssey app. It's crystal clear. We're on SiriusXM channel 158 and, of course, on our amazing CBS Sports Radio affiliates coast to coast. Don't move. We're back with Against the Grain after this. And this show is sponsored in part by BetterHelp. Do you ever find that just as you're trying to fall asleep, your brain suddenly won't stop talking? Do your thoughts start racing right before bed or at other opportune moments? It turns out one great way to make those racing thoughts go away is to talk them through. Therapy gives you a place to do that so you can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace.
You know, we've all been through some unpredictable times over the past few years, and it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/MNP. That's BetterHelp.com/MNP today to get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp.com/MNP.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You can stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone restrictions apply. I think that our award, Nathaniel Hackett, earliest coach to be fired,
yes,
is going to catch fire here, Maggie.
Yeah, let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Jay's in Alaska. He's got a nominee for the Nathaniel Hackett Award for coach who should be fired after week 1. Hey, Jay.
How's it going?
What's up? Who you got for us?
Hey, man. I love what Eberflus, very much a strong candidate.
Thank you.
But I got to put in a vote for my boy, Josh, the McClown boy, for the Raiders. I'm a diehard Raider fan. What a freaking idiot. How do you get Michael Mayer on your team, one of the best tight ends in the world, and you don't use him in the game? How do you have...
Well, he's a rookie. He was playing in his first game.
How do you have Hunter Renfrow and don't throw the ball to him? It's like he's a little 5-year-old who got a shiny new ball. Oh, I got Jacoby Myers. Let's throw the ball to him 18, 15 freaking times. I got Devontae Adams. Like, he did nothing but throw the ball to Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams the whole freaking game.
Well, Devontae Adams, you can understand, Jay, but Jacoby Myers is the new, who is our guy? Mac, from last year, came in without the shoes on.
Oh, Matt Collins.
Matt Collins, yeah. He's the new Matt Collins. And by the way, Jacoby Myers almost got killed yesterday. He took a huge shot over the middle and had to be helped off the field. That was scary.
I agree, by the way. Josh McDaniels.
Jay. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it.
All around.
Yeah, I have Josh Jacobs on my fantasy team, and I swear it's unbelievable the situations where they don't give him the ball and they try something fancy. That being said, they could trip into being a decent team.
Max Crosby is great. Isn't it funny that they could just talent their way to a 9-8 record? Who knows?
Well, that was always the big variance with the Raiders. We're like, it feels like they're going for it, yet they're one Jimmy G, injury away. When Jimmy had to leave the game and Brian Hoyer came on, Stu, were you just like, this is it? But then Jimmy came right back out.
Yeah, it was 6 plays. It was like 6 or 7 plays into the game, and he was already hurt. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This couldn't even last one game, but it did. And then he limped off a little. He got sacked, and I think he twisted his ankle and was limping around. I was like, here we go. It hurt again, but luckily he came back.
Listen, I think it's going to be Eberflus is going to be the first coach fired. Not that we're rooting for people to lose their jobs, but sometimes you're just watching this how can this be? I can't be thinking this from the couch, and I can't be understanding this better than the coach. I know I don't know enough football to do that, and I feel like I'm right.
Oh, yeah. No, there's definitely something wrong there. I mean, maybe the Packers are a really good team. The Packers certainly have defensive players that could explain it. Fields did finally get some passing yards going. Give him a little bit of time. It is week 1. I don't like overreact. I don't like overreaction, but I got to tell you.
You're right about Hackett last year.
No, you were more on the Hackett. I was defending Hackett the first 2 weeks. The third week, it became impossible. I got to tell you, though, Eberflus, I didn't get coming into the year either. I didn't quite get it when they hired him. But defensive guys, it's just really hard. I think it's an offensive league. So if you hire Matt Eberflus, you better bring an offensive genius with you. And Luke Getsy is not that guy.
No. All right, let's get to Against the Grain.
Against the Grain.
Okay. I have 3 points here in Against the Grain.
Wow.
Number 1, I already gave my Giants just lost that badly because of the rain. I'm not even going to include that in Against the Grain. That's been
for
an overarching.
A new audience.
This is not part of Against the Grain, but the Giants are not going to lose 40-0 in dry land to the Cowboys again. Okay. It's not going to be 40-0. It'll probably be 33-13, but that was ridiculous. Okay. Similar vein. Number 1, the Pittsburgh Steelers got blown up by San Francisco, and I'm not worried about my Super Bowl pick at all. Not even slightest bit. Because what you saw on Sunday was a super version of the San Francisco 49ers. You are never going to see a team with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave. They're never all going to be running around together again because none of those guys are going to stay healthy. They just happen to run into an all-pro team of healthy 49ers. That doesn't exist. Christian McCaffrey is not running for 80 yards on you in Week 13. You know why? Because he's going to be on the bench, Maggie.
Yeah.
There's no way. So the Steelers lost to this super team of Niners, which never stays together. There's no Fred Warner is actually a human missile. I know people throw that around. There's no way. So the Steelers ran into this ridiculous defense. I think that game was an anomaly. I think San Francisco, when they're fully healthy, is the best team in the league. Pittsburgh, I'm not worried. Their offensive coordinator is terrible. I agree. Kenny Pickett is going to look so much better every other game except for this one because of San Francisco. Buying that at all?
I buy that this is the super version of the 49ers because you're right that the fact that everyone would stay healthy, that's just not with the history of this team and with the history of McCaffrey. I was really impressed with Brock Purdy, though. I mean, he only threw for 220 yards, but the 2 touchdowns, no picks. I mean...
Yeah, but I got to tell you, T.J. Watt, I know the game was out of control. T.J. Watt started to get to them really hard. I mean, strip-sacked him in the third quarter. I think Pittsburgh just got hit in the face in the beginning of the game. And unlike the Giants, at least they were trying for most of the rest of the game. I think that was an anomaly. I think they faced the worst team. I think they're going to pick it up. Kenny Pickett only threw 1 touchdown and 2 picks.
Yeah.
But at least he was 31 for 46 for 232. Okay, so there's some completions here. No.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm telling you, wait till that's like playing. It's playing a impossible defense that you're going to look better against every other defense in the league. I think Pittsburgh is going to be okay.
It was a really tough one out of the gate. Okay, what's your next one?
Okay. Number 2 is loss of the week. This is maybe the most impressive feat, most important feat of week 1. Was nothing that Dallas did. It was not Tua and Tyreek Hill. For the Cardinals to find a way to lose against Washington when they were killing them. They were winning that entire game.
It's weirdly entertaining.
They were winning the entire game and had another chance at the end, but they said no. we are not going to win this game.
No.
You can't make us win this game.
You can't mess that up.
I know it's Josh Harris's first game as a Commanders owner. I mean, Cardinals were probably the better team. The whole game looked like a college game.
How come Josh Dobbs never looks like he just got to the place he got to 4 days ago?
I have no idea, but the Cardinals were clearly on their way to winning that game in the fourth quarter, and I think intentionally pulled back or something because you probably watched a bunch of that with me too, like I did. I felt like the Cardinals are blowing it. They're blowing it. But then they came back to earth. They are set on that number one pick, Maggie. Nothing is going to get in their way.
I respect it weirdly. I mean, I don't. Losing on purpose is probably not something we should ever ascribe to in our professional sports. But Josh Dobbs, 21 for 30, 132 yards, nothing.
Yeah.
No touchdowns, no interceptions, but didn't look totally incompetent. I don't know. Am I crazy?
Yeah, I mean, when the coach ran out and blocked one of his passes in the fourth quarter, I knew something was odd. Yeah. Okay. My third and last point. Are you ready for the most awkward draft night ever next year? Because there are 3 teams who drafted quarterbacks this year who are going to be in the mix next year, high at the draft. I'm telling you right now, Bryce Young is not going to win a handful of games there in Carolina. C.J. Stroud is not going to win any games in Houston.
Yeah.
And Anthony Richardson, who is the best of the lot by far,
yep,
he can't keep this. He's going to get hurt, Maggie. He was hurt at the end of the game. He is such a big target. He reminds me of Cam Newton. In the second half of his career, all 3 rookie quarterbacks, except for Richardson, really struggled. I don't see any positive silver lining out of anything I saw on Sunday.
Wow.
Especially
who's jumping to conclusions.
C.J. Stroud, there was a point he had 7 completions for 6 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, that offense has no prayer whatsoever. So what are you doing this year?
No, I mean,
you're going to be terrible, and you gave up your draft pick. Both teams, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, both teams gave away their draft pick, and they're going to give the other team a top 5 pick.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing, right? You got to hope that these guys pay off. It's not just a one-year project. That's why I think you have to grade on a curve a little bit. But do you think after one game that Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud are in danger of losing their jobs?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
You can't take the job away from them.
No, you can't take the job away.
No.
See, that's why I always thought it was a better idea for the Carolina Panthers to start your guy, Andy Dalton.
You're so right. Because that's exactly the problem. Carolina is now stuck where they got to run with this thing. And it puts Bryce Young in sort of a dangerous position because they're going to be losing a lot of games. Same with C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud on that offense was not ready at all.
Yep.
I don't know what they're trying to achieve. Maybe let the guys get some lumps on the field. And Anthony Richardson was spectacular, but he's very vulnerable physically.
Oh, my God. Even Trevor Lawrence reportedly after the game told him, hey, great game. You made some nice plays. You got to protect yourself or you're going to get killed.
Yeah.
And that's what Trevor Lawrence said. Lawrence, who's 6'5", 230.
If you're going to trade your number one pick for next year, like the Texans did to get Will Anderson,
yeah,
you would think that you wouldn't have a top 5 pick. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't give up that extra
gotta
pick.
Trade them Cleveland's pick.
Yeah.
that was the pick, right? For the last one of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
from trade.
I feel like these guys, it doesn't matter. Rookie quarterback, you're right. They should have time to develop. But these situations, Houston's offense, I think the Houston's defense with DeMeco Ryans looked great. But their offense, I was like, oh, this isn't even close to ready. So I would love a veteran to take those lumps and then bring those guys in later.
So the one thing with C.J. Stroud is, man, you have to come out of the gate and play the Ravens. It's kind of like facing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. You're going right to the master level there in terms of defense. So that wasn't doing them any favors either. They were losing that game no matter what.
I mean, they battled.
Maybe it would have looked a little bit better if they weren't facing perennially one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah, I mean, they shut down Lamar.
And meanwhile, though, the Ravens unfortunately get hit by the injury bug.
Oh, unfortunately, but predictably.
I know. J.K. Dobbins going to be out for the year. That's on the offensive side with a torn Achilles.
That is so tragic.
And
he finally fought his way back.
Horrible. And then who was it? Williams, the DB?
Marcus Williams, torn pec.
Such a tough injury to come back from.
Marlon Humphrey, who's one of their real MVPs on defense, cornerback. He's still out, though. I read that he might come back week 2. Ronnie Stanley, the key one.
My left tackle.
Hurt his knee, but it's not an ACL, so they're excited about, not excited, but that was good news. But the thing is, once the Ravens start getting a couple injuries, it always becomes a landslide. I'm worried this new Todd Monken offense isn't going to have time to set in. I was not encouraged by what I saw at all on Sunday.
It looks the same, or very similar. I was expecting like major changes for the Ravens offense. Like, oh, this is going to look really different. It didn't look really different. Zay Flowers looked good, and Odell had a really nice catch, but it didn't look that different. But again, going back to the rookie quarterbacks that you just mentioned, are these going to be some awkward drafts because these guys didn't look that great? I really think that out of all of them, Richardson has the best shot.
Yeah, if you didn't know anything about their past in college, the fact that Bryce Young won a Heisman, and you just saw those 3 games, and ask me, or if I asked you who would be the number 1 overall out of those 3 guys, who would you have said?
Well, I guess Richardson, but
eyeballing it by far.
Just by eyeballing it. But again, this is why I would have started Davis Mills, and this is why I would have started Andy Dalton. And again, I might even have started Gardner Minshew in Indianapolis. I did not think you had to start those 3 guys.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Richardson at least can be mobile, I guess.
I know, but he might get hurt.
Yeah. Then
he's got to protect himself.
By the way, I picked them.
Yeah.
And it was 31-21. And the Colts were running down the field. They got to the 2-yard line with 30 seconds left to score a touchdown. And Gardner Minshew came in and threw 3 incompletions and saved my bet.
I saw.
Betting is a dicey proposition, man.
Yeah, let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Jay is in Alabama. Jay, what's up, dude?
Man, I thought I'd be able to call in with another Crybaby Monday report and give you the wham, 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 but I got to give them credit. Like, the Roll Tide half of Alabama right now, they're not crying about nothing. They're really like facing reality. You know what I mean? They're being real about it. They're not, you know what I mean? They're not crying. They're basically kind of like okay with it. I mean, but I will tell you, they're not crying, but they're plotting and scheming down here. Like, first of all, they're calling for Nick Saban to go ahead and retire after this year. Everybody's already saying that. But who they want him to replace? They don't want Dabo Swinney anymore because they've been talking.
Can't do that. He doesn't go in the transfer portal.
Man, they've been talking Dabo Swinney for years. Who they want now? They want somebody to go out to Colorado and offer like Prime so much money he can't turn it down and have him take over the job.
Wow. Jay, life comes at you fast, man. You got Colorado, 2 big wins, another big one over Nebraska that everyone insists was very personal for Colorado. Jay, thank you for the phone call.
No, but get out. Everybody insists. Anybody not wearing a Colorado uniform insists that. They insist it's personal, but they're just making up random bulletin board material.
Well, let's hear Deion Sanders, Stu Cut 7. Deion, this was him pregame.
If you say something about his kids, it's personal. But the reason it's so personal to me is they said something about my kids. You think I'm gonna let them talk about y'all and they ain't gonna be personal? You think I'm gonna let them doubt y'all and they ain't gonna be personal? You think I'm gonna let them naysay y'all and they ain't gonna get personal? You think I'm gonna let them say all the stuff that they said that we don't have and we prove that we have?
And it went on and on from there. Deion making it very personal, and now he's who the fans want to take over for Nick Saban.
Oh, well, okay. I don't know that all Alabama fans are already on board with Deion. Let's not state that like that's a fact.
No, but I imagine that Alabama fans had to be feeling some type of way. Jay said that not everyone's totally in their feelings, but had to be feeling some type of way losing to Texas in that fashion.
Yeah, I mean,
at home doesn't happen for Alabama, not under Nick Saban.
Well, I can understand why they wouldn't be crying. They clearly got outplayed. And the amazing thing is they got beat on the lines. When does Alabama get beat on the lines by a Big 12 team? This 5.5-star left tackle, Caden Proctor, just got destroyed all night long. Couldn't run the ball. Their quarterback's doesn't seem like he's ready to go.
You know, speaking of Anthony Richardson, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Anthony Richardson, Jalen Milroe. He does have a big arm and he can run. It's just putting it all together has not happened yet.
Yeah, he looks spectacular when he runs. By the way, back to Prime for 1 second.
Yes.
How are they going to generate this kind of bulletin board material every week? It's personal against what is bound to be a 1-11 Nebraska team. How are they going to make everything personal? Because if he uses up all that bulletin board material now, what's going to happen? He's got a whole season of this.
Perloff, come on. He's a Hall of Famer. You don't think that Deion Sanders is also Hall of Fame at finding ways to make it, put a chip on these guys' shoulder.
Can he really do this every week at
Yes.
this level, though? Like Arizona State or something that they have a program that he and his son and Colorado have no connection to whatsoever. He
find
can
a
make
way.
it. He can make it personal.
So week one, it was because Kendall Briles, the offensive coordinator for TCU, didn't pay attention to Shedeur Sanders at a football camp like 5 years ago. This week, it was a couple things. Matt Rule apparently said, he'd never allow cameras in the locker room, and he can't understand why anyone would do that. Clear shot at Deion, who's got cameras following him everywhere. And also the fact that the Nebraska Cornhuskers came and congregated right on the Buffaloes, logo. And Shedeur Sanders didn't like that. This is why he said it was personal.
Said a lot of things about my pops, about the program, but now that he want to act nice, I don't respect that, because you hating on another man, you shouldn't do that. So it was just, all respect was gone for them and their program. Now I like playing against their DC, I like playing against them, but the respect level, it ain't there because you disrespected us first.
There you go. And
Matt Rule was hating on Deion Sanders. Does anybody remember this giant scandal?
And defensive coordinator Tony White getting it there too.
Yeah, Matt, I don't remember any Matt Rule Deion. Maybe there was some. I mean, mild. Was that like a great feud that I wasn't aware of?
I think that he did respond to it, by the way. Matt Rule did. He said that basically to have the Nebraska players congregate on the Buffalo, he said, we do it at every stadium. We go to the middle of the field and we pray for blessings. They came in. I asked them if they wanted. I asked Shedeur if they wanted to pray with us, and this all got misconstrued. So he claims they do this everywhere they go. Shedeur didn't like the fact that they were congregating on the logo.
Yeah, I mean, we are stretching now for rivalry material. What's he going to do with Colorado State?
They'll find something.
Colorado State. This is the rivalry. This is what really gets you for the the bragging rights of Colorado. If they say anything like that, I don't know if I can handle this anymore.
It is going to be interesting to see Colorado now 2-0, 20-point favorite against Colorado State. But the Deion Sanders to replace Nick Saban, I absolutely love it. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, we're giving out something that we never thought we'd get to. Perloff and I fess up. What did we get wrong from the weekend? We'll get to that after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Well, the Bills have won the AFC East the last 3 years, but their opponent tonight has been in the spotlight for most of the offseason. The Jets take the field for the first time with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. After 18 years in Green Bay, he's enjoyed a terrific honeymoon in New York and ready to get down to business this evening.
I mean, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be excited. Be excited to be out there with the crowd, see the crowd out there early, hopefully. Get all the jitters out of the way probably in pregame and go out and just try and execute.
DeMar Hamlin won't see the field tonight. The Bills plan to make him a healthy and active for the season opener after he went into cardiac arrest back on January 2nd, but ultimately won the safety job. The Steelers were blown out yesterday. The news just gets worse with Cam Hayward reportedly expected to miss several weeks with a groin injury and surgery may be necessary. The Browns have lost offensive tackle Jack Conklin for the season to a torn ACL and MCL. Eagles linebacker Nakobe Dean will miss some time after suffering a foot injury yesterday, and corner James Bradbury now doubtful for Thursday. He's in concussion protocol today. Baseball this afternoon, first of two in Philadelphia. Atlanta rallies to win 10-6 in 10 after Bryce Harper tied the game with a 2-out, 2-run home run in the ninth. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, it's Amy Lawrence. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Just ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Got a robust, conversation going on. Not just here, but also in our chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. If you want to watch along with the show, terrible loss for Alabama against Texas, Perloff, on Saturday night. Not used to seeing Nick Saban lose out-of-conference games at home or just games at home in general.
Yeah.
I know that Texas is going to join the SEC, but that's not until next year where Texas and Oklahoma are coming in. It was a touchdown game. Alabama was a touchdown favorite, and they were really manhandled. And it's weird to see. It's also weird to see Alabama not having a slam dunk awesome quarterback, because we've gotten used to that over the last few years, going from Jalen Hurts to Tua to Mac Jones to Bryce Young.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I wasn't so worried about the quarterback. I was worried about the quarterback, but the line just got manhandled by Texas. Of course, they have 4 and 5 star guys at every position. Their left tackle is supposed to be a future number 1. He was a disaster. They couldn't run at all. So it does feel, as someone alluded to earlier in the hour, it feels like maybe this is getting towards the end for Saban. I hate to say it, off one game, but if they lose at home, that, Shark said after the game, he had a great line. He's like, I didn't want to tell my team that they're 52-1 in this situation in Tuscaloosa. So it does feel like it's coming out. Now, wait, if we're going to talk, Jay in Alabama, our good friend, said that callers are calling into the local radio and saying Deion. Now, if you're Alabama and you are going to replace Saban, is that a program that has to bring in somebody with some Alabama experience? Because there's about 40 head coaches who were at Alabama.
Well, that's like the kingmaker job now, right? Is to be offensive coordinator, offensive analyst at Alabama. That means you're basically going, no, I think that they would definitely call Deion. I don't think that you need to have Alabama ties at all. This is in this age. And also, again, the Dabo Swinney thing, I think Dabo is a good coach, but the shine has come off Dabo just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, listen, I mean, you start off your season with a loss to Duke. I mean, that's not great. But also just because they haven't replicated the type of success that they had when it was Deshaun Watson to Trevor Lawrence.
No, Dabo's a Hall of Fame coach. To win 2 titles at a school like Clemson is unbelievable.
And beat Alabama, beat Nick Saban in one of those.
But, I mean, listen, if you're going to go to guys who were there before, Steve Sarkisian, it's going to be hot. And I know he's at Texas, one of the richest schools in the country. Mario Cristobal, all of a sudden, is hot again. In Miami, he was at Alabama.
Beat A&M.
Yeah, and he wasn't at Alabama, but Lincoln Riley feels like they would make that call as well.
See, I don't think, though, guys who are where they are, I don't know if going to Alabama is such a slam dunk from those places. Like, I'd love to be at USC. I'd love to be at Texas. I mean, Mario Cristobal's got a special connection with Miami, so I don't know if he would leave that easily.
I mean, come on. He'd leave Miami for Alabama. He was at Alabama for 5 years, I think. These guys are... and Sark, too, he is a really fond spot. Nick Saban sort of saved his career by bringing him in. I definitely think there's a
He's
draw
done that to
of
a few
Alabama.
guys, though. Lane Kiffin, too, and I don't think Lane's going.
Well, I know Lane is unlikely, but I wouldn't rule Lane out either. Why not? He's a good coach.
I think this is the Deion Sanders effect, though, right? Because this is like he is doing something that no one's ever done before in terms of the turnover on his team and how he's been able to get them play at the super high level when you've got 55 new guys or 85 new guys on the team.
Wait. When you say what is the Deion effect? What are you talking about?
Like the fact that he would be mentioned and that people would be clamoring, allegedly in Alabama, people would be clamoring to have him come coach the team. I mean, that wasn't happening when he was at Jackson State. It's all because of this particular, I want to say it's like an experiment almost that's happening where he's had this unprecedented turnover and he's coached them to a 2-0 start. You start to wonder if these were all Deion's guys, if he had a little bit of time, what could the ceiling be?
Right, and also he's got the entire American media scene 100% rooting for him.
Well, so did Saban all those years. So
Nick Saban. Nick's Mr. Grumpy.
You don't think that the media helped Alabama?
You think the media is supporting Nick Saban like they support Deion Sanders?
I think that there was definitely a love for Saban. He's crotchety.
No, the media was all mad at Saban for the way he left the Dolphins, and he's also
I don't know about
he's
that.
also the big. Oh, are you kidding me? He was totally he villainized for that, and then he's the most crotchety guy. I think they're night and day the way they're sort of received by the media. Nobody likes Nick Saban.
No, because people love dynasties, though, and people love winners. And you even came on the Alabama bandwagon, and you're part of the media.
Well, yeah, I like Alabama because I like some of the players, but Nick Saban's basically Bill Belichick. I mean, you're saying that like Bill Belichick and Nick Saban are identical twins. He's nothing like Deion is like Mr. Sunshine, Mr. Quotable, Mr. Incredible Story. Nick Saban is nothing like any of that.
No, but there is a love, I think, for Alabama and the dynasty.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And the respect for Saban. Deion, of course, there's nobody like Deion. He's doing things in his own way. And the fact that now his popularity, which was already at a fever pitch, has gotten even bigger than that. Our pal Ryan is in Santa Barbara. Ryan, what's up?
Maggie and Perloff, what's going on this epic Monday?
Well, listen, I'm sure you're probably in just basking in the glow, the Brock Purdy glow.
Brock Purdy MVP. Let's go. You know he's the real deal, and so are the Niners. I want to know what your guys' top 10 power rankings off. I'll give you my top 5 now, starting with the Niners for sure after that romping going into Pittsburgh and smushing them 30-7. Then I'll go with Perloff's Eagles at number 2, just to give them a little bone, although it wasn't a pretty performance by that offense. And then 3, I hate to do it, but the Cowboys just with that D.
I was going to say, Ryan, if you don't make the Cowboys 2 or 3, you're just being a hater.
I gave them the 3.
You know they deserve to be 2.
Although Deshaun Watson still didn't look all that great, I'll go with the Browns at 4 and the Chiefs at 5.
Wow,
Wait.
Chiefs off a loss.
Wait.
Yay.
You're doing top 5 power ranking? You're saying the Browns are better than the Chiefs? What? This is a power ranking. This isn't a who. Are you just saying who had the
doing
best
it for the
week?
clicks.
How week 1 looked? Or are you talking about like moving forward?
This is his personal top 5 right now.
No, he
Ryan.
said moving forward. So you think the Browns are going to be better than the Chiefs? Am I hearing this right?
Ryan, the chat is telling me do not get in the van. I'm not going to listen. I will get in the van. Ryan, thank you so much for the phone call with his top 5 power rankings.
Wait. Okay.
I put the Cowboys 1, by the way. San Francisco 2.
So
neck
you're
and
saying,
neck.
Wow. So you already have the Cowboys and the Niners ahead of the Chiefs?
Yeah. I mean, listen, the Chiefs lost. They lost to the Lions, and
it's not a standings; it's a power rankings.
Well, maybe your criteria is different than me and Ryan's.
No, but I think I'm being actually dead serious. You think that right now the Cowboys are the Super Bowl favorites? Like, if you had to do this,
I already picked them to win the Super Bowl, and that was before the game.
So they should be listed ahead of the Chiefs and the Eagles. I mean, yeah, you picked them, but
yes, and off of Week 1 performance, yeah, they put a throttling on a fellow playoff team from a year ago. They smoked them.
Wow. I mean, listen, I thought the Chiefs played really bad, but I was not ready to downgrade them that much already. To 5 behind the Browns?
Okay, coming up, we start a new segment where Perloff and I fess up to all of our sins. What did we get wrong from the weekend? We'll do that next. Don't move. Maggie, Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
There were parents there of 8 and 9-year-olds who their kids are hearing some terms for sexual acts and then came back to the parents and said, "What is this?"
Ooh, that's a tough one. My daughter's memorized about 15 Nicki Minaj songs.
Oh, boy.
So she knows a little more than I am. Sometimes I go to her with questions.
What is WAP?
You know, it's an interesting moment, and it's related. When your kid drops a curse word on you, my daughter, like 9, didn't like this teacher. My daughter's this cute little thing. She goes, "Bleeping Miss What's her name?" I was like, whoa.
Working blue. Wow.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Just 3 hours until Jets-Bills kickoff tonight, Monday Night Football. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We've been reacting to everything happening yesterday. Now we got to turn the page, look ahead to tonight.
Isn't it funny? All that Aaron Rodgers hype. It's been a summer of Aaron Rodgers. It's died down in the last couple of weeks. Deion stole a little of the thunder, I think. Then we had week 1. I feel like the Aaron Rodgers mania calmed down for some reason.
Well, just wait 5 minutes because it's about to get ratcheted up. And
if they lose, though, people are going to forget about it. They go against the Cowboys next week, and I don't know. I'm not sure Aaron Rodgers can keep this going.
Well, you guys know that I, grew up rooting for the Buffalo Bills. You know I love my Bills. I think this is going to be a tough spot for the Bills. So I actually think you're going to get a lot of Aaron Rodgers hype after this. Jets always play the Bills very tough, even when their quarterbacks stink. So to now have Aaron Rodgers at the helm, the defense is able to, get to Josh Allen. He was sacked like 8 times the last time they played. It was really tough, and I anticipate this is going to be a big night for the Jets. So you're worried about that Jets hype? I wouldn't worry that long, because the Cowboys whitewashed the Giants last night 40-0 on Sunday Night Football. Giants defense looked amazing. Offense did enough.
Cowboys defense
looked amazing. Giants defense, not so much.
Giants defense didn't have a chance.
Didn't really do much. Cowboys defense looked amazing. Offense didn't turn the ball over, which is exactly what you want in a bad weather game, is just run the ball effectively. And I think you're going to be setting up for a massive, massive week 2, Dallas and the Jets. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
That'll be a game huge. I mean, listen, the Cowboys beating the Giants reminds me of, what year was that the Cowboys beat the Giants on the opening Sunday night game? Oh, yeah, every year. And then what happens at the end of the year?
Yeah.
The Cowboys somehow disappoint. So you're putting them number 1. You did pick them to go to the Super Bowl, which I like it. I have to be honest, I have them going pretty far too.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the thing with the Cowboys is they can look great in week 1. They can look great in week 2. Come on, Mike McCarthy. Show me something in the playoffs. They're built, the right way, defense and running. But week 1 did not show me that, Mag. It was pouring rain.
Well, I know you love to blame the weather. I don't, because both teams have to play in it. And I think it's a testament to who you are, the type of coaching you have, all of that. How do you handle the elements? Like you mentioned before, this wild game where it was super windy between the Bills and the Patriots, and Mac Jones threw the ball 3 times and they won. Well, that's brilliant coaching.
Well, that's right. Yeah, but it didn't mean anything. The Patriots went on to go like 9-8 or something. And the Bills,
they made the playoffs.
Yeah, wasn't that the 13-second year? The Bills should have won the Super Bowl that year. It didn't show anything about their character that they lost some fluke game in the wind.
No, but I do think, listen, I think the things with the Cowboys that we already knew, which is that the defense is going to be good / great, I think did look like the best defense in the NFL.
Okay.
Now, the 49ers are going to give them a run there, and I know your Eagles are also going to give them a run, but right now, I thought the Cowboys looked the best.
Okay, forget all that. Let's see Dak Prescott under pressure when it matters. Does that interception problem come back? He was thrown into a crowd. I mean, he looked good. He always looks good. But will he make mistakes? Like, the real questions are ahead for the Cowboys, for all these teams.
True.
It's week 1. I will tell you one thing about the Eagles. Man, Jalen Carter. Wow.
Yeah, looked really good.
That is.
But we knew he was going to look good. He could have been the number 1 overall pick.
They took this kid, Jordan Davis, out of Georgia the year before, who was also supposed to be a physically dominant player. He did nothing last year. But Jalen Carter stood out amongst all those Super Bowl defenders. So I know the Eagles game was closer. I still was very impressed. So, listen, you're right. I think those 3 defenses are outstanding. But the Giants. Anyone says, you think the Cowboys defense is better than the Niners? I heard some people saying that today. What? The Niners defense is the best in the league.
They looked great as well. I mean, going across the country, had Nick Bosa, looked completely dominant against a Pittsburgh team that was awesome in the preseason. Goes to show what the preseason means, which is a whole lot of nothing. And they held Pickens in check. They were great against the run. They were just awesome in every facet.
Right. By the way, we're about to do what we did wrong. You had one right that I am. There's one call you had that I'm kind of into right now.
Oh, yeah.
Myles Garrett as Defensive Player of the Year for Cleveland.
Thank you. Yes.
But listen, he had this one play where he pretended he was playing basketball, right? He was doing a fake crossover dribble. Then he storms past his man and just kills Joe Burrow. But then again, TJ Watt's a force of nature on Pittsburgh, too. He had 3 sacks and a strip sack. There's so many great defenders right now. Micah Parsons, they're probably just going to hand Micah Parsons the award after 4 weeks. There's so many great defensive stars right now. Again, maybe an overreaction to week 1 where the defenses have an edge, but that is going to be a really fun chase. They're dominant pass rushers in today's NFL.
All right, time to get to what we got wrong.
Even we can't be right all the time.
Samsonite. I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Time for Maggie and Perloff to own up.
Well, even Perloff and I are wrong occasionally. When we say occasionally, we mean, well, it does happen from time to time. So we're going to own up to the things we were most wrong about this weekend. And for me, Perloff, it was about the Denver Broncos. I thought you were going to get Sean Payton, at least out of the gate, it was going to look really good. I thought you were going to get the week 1 new coach bump where we see some things we haven't seen before and everyone looks rejuvenated. And we did not get that at all. Instead, we got Sean Payton and his ego trying to do an onside kick to start the game, hearkening back to the glory days of the Super Bowl 44 when they beat the Colts. It backfired, and not a ton went right after that. It was a close game, but we thought
they were leading until the fourth quarter.
I know, we thought that the Raiders, but I thought the offense was going to look good. This offense looked fine. They put up 16 points.
What do you think of Russell, though? I was actually weirdly encouraged by the way Russell played.
It looked better than last year.
Yeah, it looked better than last year. It looked like he was running a little bit of a Drew Brees offense. Now, the problem is the receivers are all hurt. Hamler's out for the year. Judy's hurt. Russell was 27 for 34, 177 yards, 2 TDs, no picks. He just can't run anymore.
No, he can't. And he was getting chased down.
First game with Sean Payton, maybe give him a little time to get more comfortable. That was an okay start. The problem was the Raiders offensively were by far the better team. Like Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. Wait, are they good, Maggie? Maybe this wasn't a bad loss by Sean Payton. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, it's a division game, so you maybe always have to take that with a grain of salt. But I did not think that the Raiders were going to be very good. I failed to think about the Jimmy Garoppolo is actually healthy usually in week one. I'm like, dang, why? Darn it. Why did I disrespect Jimmy G?
But that was 20 breaks. Did you think you had that bet won most of the game? I was sure the Broncos were going to win that because there were so many occasions where Josh McDaniels was handing the ball away. I thought the Broncos were going to win, but I don't think you were that wrong on that. That's all I'm saying.
Pretty wrong. What'd you get wrong?
Okay, I don't know if I said anything about this, but there's one result that blew me away.
What's that?
I couldn't believe it. What happened to the Seahawks? What was that?
What
on earth happened to the Seattle Seahawks against the Los Angeles Rams? I understand Sean McVay sort of has Pete Carroll's number, but okay, maybe they lose, but all of a sudden the Rams are throwing to guys. I think they were making up some of these names. I've never heard of these people, and the Rams look like the old Rams. That, to me, I wouldn't have predicted that in a million years. I was so confident about my Seahawks playoff pick coming this year.
Yeah.
I debated, should I put them or the Niners to win the NFC West? And now I have no idea what to think because the Rams really blew them away there. That game wasn't even as close as, I think it was 30-13. That shocked me.
Puka's the new
Puka
star.
Nakua, I knew all about him.
Yes, you did know
I know because our buddy Jim Nagy, who's Senior Bowl director, has been on the Puka Nakua bandwagon since last January. He said this is going to be one of the best receivers, 5th-round pick out of BYU, right? He was great, but it wasn't just that. Stafford was amazing.
Stafford was 24 for 38 for 334 yards, but did not pass for a touchdown in this game and did not throw any picks.
That's because some kid named Keon Williams was like a bolt of lightning out of the backfield for the touchdowns. That's another one. I feel bad because I was wrong about the Seahawks, but maybe I was more wrong about the Rams.
Well, I think the Rams are dealing with a little bit of what I was talking about with the Raiders. This is as fully healthy as they're going to be. No Cooper Kupp, obviously. He's on IR. But in terms of Stafford, like this is as healthy as Stafford's going to be to begin the season. What do we think's going to happen? Do you think Stafford's playing 16 games?
No, but I mean, you just said it. No Cooper Kupp.
I know, but no Kupp. But like, I don't know. I think they're just going to start dropping here. I'm still not a believer in the Rams.
It was a great week for old guys like Stafford. Aaron Donald almost murdered Geno Smith.
I know.
All the old guys in Tampa Bay. Old guys unite. It was a great week one.
Everyone's feeling limber. It's warm out.
Aaron Donald's like, yeah, I'm still in the NFL. Loose. Remember me? Aaron Donald shoved this one poor guy trying to tackle him. Just it looked like I was trying to block him. So anyway, I was wrong about the Rams. What else?
Geez, do I have to share more?
I don't know. How many are we doing?
I was wrong. I didn't think that. Let's see.
I have another one.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So I was sort of wrong about the Steelers, but if you actually pour through the tape from last week.
Sort of wrong.
No, I said the Steelers were going to lose this opening game to the Niners. And I'm totally positive that means nothing because it gets nothing but easier for the Steelers. They just have to survive a couple tough games, and then it's easy street. They have the easiest schedule in that division. Here's the thing with Mike Tomlin teams. They sometimes are way better by the end of the season. So I'm not panicking at all. You might say I was wrong. I was actually impressed that they didn't give up like the Giants did. So they're 3-point favorites at Cleveland this week. Then they get at Vegas, at Houston, Baltimore. I don't know who's good. At the Chargers, I don't know if they're good. They have Arizona on the schedule, the Colts on the schedule. I'm telling you, they are going to have a winning record with Mike Tomlin. And you know why I know that? Because Mike Tomlin always has a winning record. I refuse to admit I'm wrong here.
Well, this is just fessing up from the first weekend. I'll also fess up. I have not been a big Jordan Love supporter. And I thought he looked good. He did. The stat line's not going to blow you away, but he looked competent. The Bears are not competent, so maybe it was a little bit of that. But listen, you continue the dominance over the Bears, and I was wrong about Jordan.
Well, I need Jordan Love to be a 10-time Pro Bowler. That's what I think is going to happen here. So it's premature. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it's Green Bay. That's what they do. Favre to Rodgers to Love. I think it's going to be like that. I don't know yet. You say you're on the Love bandwagon. That means you got to be with me. You got to be all in. You got to be all in. This guy's 10 years of dominance in Lambeau. Are you ready to make that leap, Maggie?
Last one, I'm not ready to make the leap. Last one about this is I was a little skeptical about how YouTube TV was going to handle week 1 here. And I thought it actually was really good. There are a couple nitpicks that I have on the new way that we can watch football, out-of-market games, if that's your thing. But I overall thought it was a good product.
Yeah, I thought it was totally fine. Little frustrating. There were so many games on TV that were blacked out on Sunday Ticket because there was 2 doubleheaders because it's week 1. That's not always going to be a problem. I had a big TV victory.
Yes.
Spectrum. I am a Spectrum cable.
Yeah, Charter.
Charter Communications. So I've been Spectrum cable for a few years now, ever since I got rid of DirecTV, and did not have ESPN for the last month. So this weekend I got Fubo TV so I could watch Texas, Alabama.
Nice.
Very good, but I'm glad to have cable back because I need to flip with 9 different games going on.
You know, this is funny. It's like the next generation of people who only are cord cutters.
Yeah.
They just know nothing about channel surfing. Like, channel surfing is going the way of the rotary phone.
So Mike Samter explained to me that there is an add-on with all these apps where you can basically mimic channel surfing, where you could go up and down. Is that true, or am I making this up?
Well, I was telling you that I may or may not have found a way to watch games when I'm not supposed to be able to watch games. But, yeah, we can go with that.
This is Mike toggling from illegal stream to illegal stream to illegal stream. Brilliant.
It's not illegal if my IP says I'm in Germany.
Oh, yes. Guten Tag, Samter.
Yeah, because late Saturday afternoon, I was trying to figure out what game was on because all the games were delayed by rain.
Yes.
And then maybe it might have been a night. So I'm trying to watch Alabama, Texas. Then I noticed there's this one score that I keep on seeing out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, that's weird. Texas Tech beating Oregon? Wait, what is it? Why is Oregon on my mind? I'm like, oh, no. Did Maggie jinx the Oregon Ducks? How nervous were you on Saturday about Oregon having to fight for their life against Tyler Schuff and Texas Tech?
Extremely nervous. So on Friday, I picked my college football team that I'm going to be rooting for this season. It was a little delayed because of some shipping things, whatever. And I ended up taking the Oregon Ducks. I'm riding with the Ducks this year. We got a big audience in Oregon. I want to ride with the Ducks. And I thought if they lose to Texas Tech after I declared my allegiance, I'd blame me. I mean, I'm looking to blame anyone I can. I was nervous.
Yeah, that was
but my Ducks pulled it out.
That was a great game. That was a lot of fun. It's just, on the road in college football early in the season, anything can happen.
Especially
North Carolina, App State was which is, I guess, is always a close game.
A double overtime for
that was amazing. I love these. I don't like when I was telling a friend, I was trying to watch Penn State, Delaware. And he's like, why bother?
The score was like 65-7.
Yeah, I mean, your team, Oregon, won 81-7 the first week. I do not like these cupcake games, but when they go awry and it's close, it's so much fun.
Samter, yeah.
I'm just curious if you were watching the Ducks game in your duck suit.
Well,
were you sitting at home quacking all day long?
The duck suit lives in the office because it serves such a vital purpose for this show. Do I have a second duck suit is what you're asking.
It sounds like Joe Burrow. I'm not making excuses, but
I'm not saying I wasn't wearing the suit, but the suit lives at the studio. I'm wondering do people put it on when I'm not around?
I have seen
Perloff wore it, but that's okay. I mean, Perloff's part of the show.
Do you mean in an erotic sense? Is that what we're talking about here?
Please, God, no.
Break.
I hope no one's putting on.
Quack, quack.
Who's getting turned on by a duck? I don't want to know the
Another
answer.
Duck.
Oh, God. Okay.
I mean, why is somebody going to be creeping around wearing that costume unless, it's something weird?
They're like some kind of furry. Oh, boy. Anyway, we've got breaking news from the NFL. This one's big. We'll get to it in just a moment. After this quick break, we're back with NFL news. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. All right, Maggie, you promised NFL breaking news. Give it to us.
All right, this one comes from Adam Schefter, and Kansas City Chiefs fans, perk up here. Chris Jones, well, he's come to an agreement with the Kansas City Chiefs to return to the team. So he's in the last year of his deal. He becomes a free agent after this season. So no new years have been added to the deal. So there's no extension, according to Adam Schefter, but he has received multiple incentives to earn considerably more money this season. That's according to sources that I believe are his agents. So
got to make you wonder, was it all worth it for Chris Jones? And the team was, I don't totally get this. So he didn't even get New Year's,
Nope.
and he had to miss week 1, and he's probably going to be out of shape for week 2.
And all of preseason,
Yeah,
where you get fined, and I don't think they can forgive those fines.
I hate signing with owners when it comes to holdouts.
Tough spot to be in.
But this Chris Jones one, and the fact that he was at the stadium, it was all a bad look. And it makes you wonder, like, can the Chiefs totally recover from this? Probably. It's early in the season. But it's definitely a bad vibe and a bad feeling going to this, especially with Travis Kelce hurt, and then a really good Jacksonville team coming up. It just makes me worried.
Well, listen, they lost to Detroit in a nail-biter.
Yeah.
They lose 21-20. Now you're going at Jacksonville. And Jacksonville, while they did sort of let Indianapolis hang around maybe a little too much for your liking yesterday.
They were losing most of the game. But yeah.
I mean, you still had some really nice moments from Trevor Lawrence. Like, he looked great, and so I would want to have, and Travis Etienne. I would want to have Chris Jones back, too.
Absolutely. I do think there are 2 superstars on the Chiefs defense. I think Nick Bolton's now a superstar too. So I thought the Chiefs actually played pretty well in defense. I mean, the Lions only scored 2 offensive touchdowns.
Yep.
So I think that Kansas City might be okay there, but just sits wrong. I can't explain why. I don't love this.
Well, yeah, it's like, I guess they're saying considerable incentives. Like, so is he going to make, $10 million more?
I don't even know.
He's probably lost $10 million just by virtue of all the fines and not playing week 1.
Well, so the thing is,
Maybe
when he signed the deal when he signed the deal 4 years ago, he was the highest paid defensive tackle in the year. 4 years isn't that long. He had a base salary of $19.5 this year.
Yep.
Was it really an appropriate holdout situation? I'm not sure it was.
Well, the fact that he didn't get any new deals and he's 30 years old, or he's going to be 30, he's 29, I'm sure he wanted a little more security.
But it's only week 1, so maybe this could be by December we forgot this even happened.
Maybe. I mean, if the Chiefs are making another run, and I know that, listen, they already won a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill, but now with Kelce hurt, and you watch Hill go off for 200 yards receiving yesterday. Boy.
What happens? Do you put Kadarius Toney out there in week 2?
You have to, because...
Really?
Yeah, I think so. You don't want his confidence to take a hit. I don't know if that's even possible with this guy. He is like a totally different bird. But
yeah, he's out there ripping the Giants. Dude, no offense, but you're worse than anyone on the Giants.
Well, yeah, he was ripping the Giants on social media last night because the Giants fans rip him and were ripping him for how he performed on Thursday night, because he's a former first-round draft pick for the Giants who got traded away.
You have so many receivers. You have so many average receivers on this team. Just throw out one of the other guys. I would not play Toney again. Chris Jones, you're right. For Jacksonville against Trevor Lawrence, this is a savior. Without him, I don't think they'd have a chance. I'm still very nervous about them. And it's funny, you picked Jacksonville. That's your AFC team.
It is. I have Jacksonville and Dallas meeting in the Super Bowl. I feel a little better about that pick after week 1.
Interesting. I don't know. Jacksonville, I was hot and cold on them. I didn't know what to make of them. It felt like they were going to lose that game.
Well, listen, on the road, you're playing a divisional opponent. You're not sure what to expect with Anthony Richardson.
Yes.
There's like no tape on this guy.
That's a great point.
I think it was fine. Again, took a little longer to put him away than you would have hoped, but...
Yeah, Etienne looked like he was shot out of a cannon on a couple runs. He looked great. And also, did you see where he ran downfield and blocked for Calvin Ridley? He is a special player.
Well,
I can't wait for that game, by the way.
That gets us to a new segment we're calling...
3, 2, 1, touchdown!
There we go. All right. 3 highlights from Sunday that we're going to bring to you in a segment we're calling 3-2-1 touchdown. So let's start with our third highlight, and that is Travis Etienne from Jacksonville. Here's what it sounded like.
Running play. This is Etienne. Tries to bounce it outside. He's got a little bit of room. 20, 15-yard line. Travis Etienne into the end zone. Touchdown. They have extended the lead. How good is that?
Real good, Frank Frangie calling that on Jaguars radio network.
Yeah, I love Travis Etienne. I love Calvin Ridley. Looked like a speed demon. He was great,
no
too.
time had been missed.
Yeah, he looked even better than I remembered. Yeah, this offense is a lot of fun. You know, the defense did not blow me away, but I love your point about there's no tape. How would you know how to prepare for Anthony Richardson?
Number 2 in our 3-2-1 touchdown, someone we did not think we'd be talking about today, Perloff, and that is Baker Mayfield.
Low snap, caught by Mayfield, looks, Mayfield throw, dart, caught ball, touchdown Tampa Bay, it's Trey Palmer. Palmer, the rookie, breaks a 10-10 tie. Great throw by Baker Mayfield, thrown a little low, and Palmer does his thing again.
Little surprising on this one, maybe. I mean, to go in and upset the Minnesota Vikings, that was Gene Deckerhoff on Buccaneers Radio Network. And this one was not the prettiest football game you're going to watch, but Baker Mayfield, 21 for 34, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah, this is one of those games where you have no idea what to make of it. Like, what the Vikings or the Bucs are going to do in week 2 is anyone's guess. Yeah, it's a big win. It means they're probably not tanking this year. Baker's tough. I will give him that.
He is. He got a very crucial third down that he ran for. Yep.
Yeah, and then again, we said it coming in the year. The bones of the Super Bowl team are still there, and some of those guys make big plays, like Mike Evans.
You will not. We need a new Bermuda Triangle. Because we talk about Derek Carr as the Bermuda Triangle. It's now Kirk Cousins is the Bermuda Triangle because
they're basically the same guy.
I guess so. But like 17 points, but these numbers, 33 for 44 for 344 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And Justin Jefferson has 9 catches for 150 yards, and they lose.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
That whole series at the end zone was really, really bad. The one, I don't know if you saw the video.
Yeah.
Cousins was going nuts about it afterwards. Might even
lost 2 fumbles.
Might even uttered a profanity. Yeah, the Vikings once again find the banana peel. They're not going to win every close game like they did last year. Those teams are both very, very average. They're both going to be right around 8, 9, 9,
average
8.
for the Buccaneers might win them the NFC South.
Very well could
be a playoff team.
Yep.
Okay, number 1. This is so Perloff can do a little victory dance. Here's Puka Nacua.
Stafford, top of his drop, pressure from his blind side, throws it right side, and it's caught near midfield. Puka Nacua going out of bounds. The rookie's over 100 yards in his debut. 20 yards on the game, 118 on the day.
And that was JB Long, Rams Radio Network.
So our buddy Jim Nagy, who's the executive director of the Senior Bowl, who scouts all these guys really, really well, going on and on about Puka Nacua. And he's got a great story at BYU, a do-everything guy there. So I mentioned him in the segment this spring. Had not thought about him again until Sunday. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Puka Nacua going off. Oh, there's Tutu Atwell. This is the most fun team I've ever seen. If you told me Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell were going to torch the Seahawks, I would not have believed it, but that was fun to watch.
So Tutu Atwell with the 6 catches for 119 yards and Puka with 10 catches for also 119 yards. I mean, it was really, the touchdowns were, Cam Akers and Kyron Williams, but Stafford had a day, and now do we have to look at the Rams a little bit differently? I thought definitely this was a team that was looking at the number 1 overall pick. Now, their schedule gets a little tough here. San Francisco next week, then at Cincinnati, at Indianapolis, then your Eagles, Arizona, then Pittsburgh, then Dallas. You get a little mixed bag.
Well, you got Arizona in your division. You're going to have to be really bad to get below them. So I don't think they're going to be in the mix for number 1, which actually, when you think about it, Sean McVay doesn't seem like the tanking kind of coach because he's so intense.
I know, but you're there, and it's like, well, if we just have one bad season that no one's going to remember, we could set ourselves up for the next 10 years. It's too enticing even for the most, fiercest fiercely competitive coaches.
But you can't have a Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford connection. If they stay healthy at all, they're way too good. And then you have Aaron Donald on the other side of the ball. That's not an ingredient for tanking. Look at Arizona. Washington looked like a college game, like a mid-level college game, not even a high-level college game. I thought I was watching
Houston against Rice?
The AAC, yes. It was so bizarre. Josh Dobbs looked like a quarterback. Sam Howell looked like a college quarterback. I don't know what was going on there. I think the Rams are much more interesting than that. I don't think that they've solved everything. They still have a lot of no-names. But I'm very curious, even against harder teams, how they match up.
In the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. I like this from RPC, who said, I feel like Baker was born too late. He would have killed in the old school NFL.
Oh, yeah. I think the old school NFL would never allow a short quarterback onto the field.
That's true.
But if he did make it on, he would be great. Like, he would have been a good Buffalo Bills quarterback right around the Jack Kemp era.
Yeah.
In the 70s.
Way back, yeah.
Or Joe Ferguson type. I feel like he'd be a good cold weather 70s quarterback.
Now, Jeffrey Howell in the chat said Jefferson coming into Philly is going to be trouble. So that's Philly and Minnesota playing Thursday night, right?
Yeah, 4 days rest. I'm glad that's at home. I would think, and I don't have any numbers on this, if 4 days rest, the home team has to have an advantage, although Philly has to come back from a later game in Foxborough.
I mean, it doesn't matter because Kirk Cousins can't play a game at night.
Yeah, that's true.
Prime time is a real trouble for that guy.
Yeah, I have to be honest. Nervous.
Nervous for the Vikings?
Yeah. I can't put my finger.
You blew them away last year.
But the Eagles are clearly in the middle of a Super Bowl hangover.
Nick Sirianni said it was the lack of preseason games that is why the Eagles look discombobulated.
Yeah, and also
You know who's responsible for whether or not someone plays in the preseason, right, Coach?
Yeah, the head coach. Yeah, but they lost both coordinators. That has been on my mind, especially Shane Steichen, who looked really good in Indianapolis. So Brian Johnson takes over. I'm nervous.
You got Matt Patricia as your defensive helper.
Why are you asking me, by the way, if I'm nervous? The Bills could be 17-point favorites, and you're like on the edge of your seat worrying.
I know. 2.5 hours until Monday Night Football kicks off. We want to hear from you. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We've got our picks for tonight's game. Samter's got his Mark Sanchez jersey on that he's converted into a Mecole Hardman.
Mecole Hardman. I don't know what you're talking about.
Honestly, the fact they didn't retire Sanchez's number, they would never do it. I know that. But he is the last quarterback that got them to back-to-back AFC championship games. Now, it wasn't for him. It was kind of in spite of him. But.
Yeah, exactly. He was the quarterback on the field when they went to the back-to-back. He didn't get them there.
No, he was very good at handing the ball off.
No, and by the way, I always liked Mark Sanchez. I thought he got a little unfair rap after the butt fumble. But it shows you.
A little.
That's the thing with Aaron Rodgers. When something goes wrong to the Jets, it gets amplified. So I worry if they lose tonight, people are going to be really upset. But it's a really good team, Buffalo. The hype train has its downside, Maggie. Same with Deion. If Deion eventually loses, people are going to completely overreact.
Well, I don't think Deion's going to lose to Colorado State.
No.
What happens against Oregon and then USC? And I think they're going to hang with. I think the Buffaloes are going to hang with both of them.
Yeah, Oregon, I would not be surprised. Yeah, I don't know. USC is.
You can score on USC.
You could score on USC, right? But how do they? Yeah, listen, I'm done discounting Deion and the Buffaloes. You're probably right.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, coming up, we do have our picks for the Monday night game. We'll do that after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flag.
Well, after the Chiefs lost their season opener, they finally come to terms with defensive tackle Chris Jones. The holdout ends. He gets a one-year deal. Reportedly, it has incentives that he can reach. That brings him back. Aaron Rodgers stepped out of the darkness and is in the spotlight tonight under the lights of MetLife Stadium as he makes his Jets debut when they host the Bills to close out Week 1. The Jets looking to end a 55-year Super Bowl drought. Bills head coach Sean McDermott says Rodgers' arrival makes them a significant factor.
They've already had a talented roster, as I mentioned, and now they added a future Hall of Fame quarterback, a guy who we have a lot of respect for. He's extremely smart, veteran, as we all know, and he's tough to go against.
The Steelers' Cam Hayward could miss a while due to a groin injury that might require surgery. Browns offensive tackle Jack Conklin suffered a torn ACL and MCL yesterday. He's done for the season. Eagles linebacker Nakobe Dean will miss some time with a foot injury, and James Bradbury in concussion protocol. First of two today in Philly. Bryce Harper, 2-out, 2-run game-tying home run in the ninth, but the Braves scored 2 in the 10th to beat the Phillies 10-8. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Coming up later on the Zach Gelb Show, we recap a busy weekend of college football in the NFL. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time to answer our Ask the Pros question today, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Tonight's question comes from Bill in Wyoming. Maggie, big game tonight. What are you expecting from your Bills against the Jets? You can submit a question by tweeting it at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. What are you hearing?
Well, you can see behind me that it's been 21 days since I had a meltdown about the Buffalo Bills, and it probably is going to end at 21 days. I imagine tonight's going to be extremely frustrating because the Jets always play the Bills really tough, even when the Bills are playing against a quarterback that sucks on the Jets. So I'm expecting...
Maybe this will work in reverse. The Jets have a good quarterback, the Bills will show up.
I don't think it's going to work like that. I expect the Rodgers... over 1.5 touchdowns to cash. I think they're really going to try to play into this. I expect the rushing props for the Jets to cash. The Breece Hall, I believe it's like 32.5 yards, and Dalvin Cook is something like 43.5, something like that. I got to find it here on DraftKings, but I expect the rushing props to cash. And for the Bills, they got to try to find a way to stop the run. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. So,
what about, I mean, all that being said, you still have Josh Allen. You still have, he's going to run like crazy because he's going to want to look good in this game. So, Josh Allen putting his body on the line game will always be interesting.
I don't know if Josh Allen even tries to look good running the ball. It's more about the deep bomb passes to Diggs and to Gabe Davis, and I'm curious, how Sauce Gardner is going to do on Diggs. So,
well, maybe the Buffalo Bills will establish the run early. Like they're no.
Is this like my fantasy land? To be honest, I'm actually expecting the Jets to win this opener. I'm expecting the Jets hype to get crazy. But Samter and I do have a bet going, just simple. Samter in his Mark Sanchez jersey.
Mecole Hardman.
Me not wearing my Bill stuff today because I didn't want to look too much like a homer.
Jinx.
And lunch tomorrow. So loser buys lunch.
By the way, does anyone... I saw Mecole Hardman on Hard Knocks or something. I was like, oh, my gosh, when did they get Mecole Hardman? That totally went under the radar. The Chiefs need him. The Jets don't need him. The Jets have Lazard and Garrett Wilson. What's Mecole Hardman doing there? Anyway, side note.
Yeah, they've got like 4 other guys.
Yeah, I know.
The Jets have a lot of receivers.
Do you remember?
Not messing around here.
Mecole Hardman totally went under the radar this offseason, but he's a decent player. Anyway.
It was kind of big because it was like they got him and then they traded Elijah Moore like the next day, and like that was kind of the impetus to trade Moore.
I thought they flipped basically Elijah Moore so Alan Lazard could fit on the roster. It was for Hardman?
Yes.
They also, don't forget, have Randall Cobb.
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
They had a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Just watch our tight ends. We're going to tight end all over you guys.
Uzama.
The Bills are actually good covering tight ends. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the running backs, and I'm worried a bit about Garrett Wilson.
And just get worried about our defense, and we're going to sack 13 times tonight.
Listen, they sacked Josh Allen a lot last year. So I'm nervous about this game. I still think the Bills are a playoff team, but I'm nervous about this game. Let's go to Chris in Texas. Chris, what a weekend for you, pal.
You got that right. Hook 'em horns, and how about them Cowboys?
What was more satisfying win? Was it the Cowboys?
On the Jerks.
Wait, Chris,
no,
what was the bigger win? Okay, Longhorns.
Longhorns over Alabama.
What do you think? Where's this going with the Longhorns? College football playoff?
Well, I hope so. If they don't get it in. They got to put this game behind them. Just move on.
That's a great point. They cannot read their headlines now because they have the Big 12 schedule ahead of them. They should run this table and be in the Final Four, but you can't, I saw Xavier Worthy signed a huge NIL deal today. I'm a little worried about that. You know how Texas is?
No, these guys are going to be fine. Sarkisian's going to keep them in line.
Oh, I love Sark, but I don't know. That's not my first thought.
Chris, what was the response like with the people? Paint the picture for us in Texas after the Longhorns when the clock showed 000.
It felt like beating USC in that national championship game.
Oh, come on,
Vince Young.
Come on, really?
That's how it felt for me because we knocked off Nick Saban at home.
Chris, you might send him into retirement, and then Alabama will be free to hire Deion Sanders. Chris, thank you for the phone call. Appreciate that. Not going to find a more happy Texan than Chris.
I'm looking at the Texas schedule. They have Wyoming, at Baylor, which could be tricky. Utah got really lucky to beat them. Kansas, Oklahoma, Houston, Kansas State. They should, on paper, run this, right? But do you feel confident in them? It's hard for me to forget old Texas teams that have disappointed.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Texas's back used to be kind of like said as sort of a dig, sometimes. Like, oh, but just wait, you might have this win, but it doesn't really mean anything. I think now it does. I thought Ewers played well. I didn't think he was amazing, and I thought they were great. But you were right about this. They won that game in the trenches. They were pushing Alabama around.
Oh, like the defensive line.
They're the more dominant team.
Totally stuffed them. Yeah, listen, TCU ran this conference last year and lost 62-7 in the final game. So there's no excuse for Texas not. They moved up to number 4. I think it's really exciting. Then again, I hope, I'm being real. Like, I know there's something that people say in sports media. Don't read your own headlines. Like, don't buy into the hype. Quinn Ewers, because they were so hungry for this game against Alabama. Could you feel it coming into there?
Definitely.
If they play like that all the time, they're really dangerous.
I also thought there was a lot of restraint on the broadcast. I don't think they mentioned Arch once. Maybe once. They said something quickly about Arch.
Oh, did Arch dress?
Yeah, he did dress. He was there. You only saw him for a second. They didn't do like a whole Arch Manning thing. Not that I saw anyway. I might have missed it, but I didn't see like a whole lot of Arch Manning love.
Well, he's third string. I totally understand that.
Yeah, but still. I mean, ESPN's like, in business with both of his uncles.
Yeah. I mean, Ewers was such a big deal. For what? Arch is the biggest recruit in 10 years. Ewers was not far behind. He was really famous before he got there.
Man, there has never been more emphasis put on someone getting a haircut.
Ever. Since Samson.
I guess, he also lost 15 pounds.
I like the old hair so much better.
No, but they make these, like, he really clean and matured, cut out the bad food and bad soda and stuff like that.
I don't like any of that. That was his first touchdown pass over 35 yards, that long bomb he hit. So he's better. Then again, I don't know. He looks like he's 12 with a new haircut. Grow the hair back. If you were his girlfriend, what would you tell him hair-wise?
I don't know if I want to date a mullet, to be honest. I think I'd tell him to keep it high and tight.
17-year-old Maggie in Binghamton, New York, would not date a mullet?
Well, I mean, I didn't have many options. It was mullet or nothing. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. And a big shout out to our pal Lee Einsiedler, huge Green Bay Packer fan.
Oh, yeah.
Who was very happy with how Jordan Love and the Packers defense looked against the Bears, and that dominance continues. Today's shot of the day comes from earlier. Yes, I have jumped on the Oregon bandwagon. I almost ran it off the road against Texas Tech, the sheer force of me joining the bandwagon, but it's okay. Oregon wins, and we talked a little about the duck suit.
I'm like, oh no, did Maggie jinx the Oregon Ducks? How nervous were you on Saturday?
Extremely nervous. I thought if they lose to Texas Tech after I declared my allegiance, I'd blame me. I was nervous.
I'm just curious if you were watching the Ducks game in your duck suit.
I'm not saying I wasn't wearing the suit, but the suit lives at the studio. Do people put it on when I'm not around.
Do you mean in an erotic sense? Is that what we're talking about here?
Please, God, no.
Break.
I hope no one's putting on it.
Quack,
First of all,
quack.
who's getting turned on by a duck? I don't want to know the answer.
Another
to that.
duck.
Oh, God.
I mean, why is somebody going to be creeping around wearing that costume unless it's something weird?
This segues so perfectly into something else that happened today, and I know that sounds a little bit weird, but I had the craziest moment driving my kid to school this morning. You know, sometimes like on your GPS, you'll see like the symbol for things like restaurant or hotel or whatever. Yeah. So I see this thing like symbol for a place called Sky Farm Inc., and it's like a hotel symbol. Like, man, there's a hotel around?
Sky Farm Inc.?
I never heard of it before. I've driven this route every single day. And it's like a hotel. I'm like, man, I don't know. A hotel's like, a couple miles away from my kid's school. I look it up. It is the country's oldest nudist community.
What?
Less than 5 miles away from my house. Why the world's oldest nudist community would be in the suburbs of New Jersey, I do not know. Apparently, it was founded in like 1932. That feels real old for a nudist community. They were doing nudists back then?
As long as there aren't nudists who are still there from 1932, I'm okay.
There might be a couple of holdovers, stragglers, really old nudists.
So people go and stay there, make reservations, you spend a week there being nude.
It's got 5 stars, guys. There's got all these reviews on Yelp.
You don't see like random people nakedly walking down the street?
Well, now everyone's a suspect. I go to the bagel place. I'm at the Thai place picking up my takeout order. I'm like, you. Could be anybody.
But they would be nude if they were part of the nude. Are you saying they get dressed to go to the bagel store?
I think that you got to get dressed to go out in suburban New Jersey to pick up your pizza. You can't show up naked. Meanwhile, you get reviews like this. Beautiful grounds, well kept. Pool and hot tub setting is fabulous, and everyone's really friendly. I'm sure they are. Friendliness is the number one thing that I seem to see on these reviews.
That's weird that they have a hot tub there. I wouldn't have predicted that.
The pool. I see a foosball table. My husband and I had this conversation. What's the toughest part? Like, I don't want to say grossest. I'm not trying to be judgmental. Do you, everybody? It's a members only type of thing. They're not out there recruiting kids and stuff. It's fine. But he thought the eating would be the most uncomfortable part about the nudist colony. I thought the recreational sports.
Like crumbs and stuff in places you don't want crumbs? Yeah. Like, okay, so what would be harder to eat, like Taco Tuesday or the badminton match?
Yeah, I'm not making a hot dogs joke.
Yeah,
this one,
shuttlecock joke.
No. This one, Rhonda said it's the greatest place on earth where you can be yourself in a peaceful setting without being judged. Very friendly members, and I felt the connection.
And here we are judging them.
I'm not. I a little. But now it's like, this is within 5 miles of my house. How am I supposed to process this information? Like, what would you do? And don't say ask for a tour. I'm not asking for a tour. I don't want to know. It's not my thing. And that's where we'll have to leave it.
I would just avoid it altogether.
Just pretend like it never happened.
Find a new route.
New route. It's deep in the trees, It's not, you can't see it from the road. Thank you to Mike Samter. Thank you to Stu Kovacs. The Weedos and the Purple Drinkers. You guys showed out today. The callers as well. Enjoy Jets Bills. We'll see if I have a meltdown tomorrow.